Our story begins as he arrives in this world for the second time. Welcome to the Star Source continent. The system prompts him to choose a profession, and he settles on the role of a guardian archer. Upon entering the game, he makes his choice without hesitation, guided by the memories of his rebirth. He possesses the server's only star-tier talent, Soul Steal. Within 1,000 meters of his position, any creature that dies produces a soul fragment visible only to him. Once absorbed, these fragments grant him a permanent increase of 1 attack point and 1 meter of range, stacking infinitely. He quickly names his character Double Mark. Arriving at the novice village, he is momentarily stunned by the endless flood of players. Fortunately, as a regressor, he expected this. Instead of joining the long queues at the village entrance like everyone else, he heads to a small hut. There, he finds a villager to activate a hidden quest, handing over his system-gifted longbow as a gift. With the villager's help, he climbs over the wall to leave the village. One has to wonder, giving away his weapon? Does he plan to fight with his fists? Ignoring the bewildered looks of those around him, he quickly circles the village perimeter to reach the training grounds. The server has just opened, and a massive crowd of novices is packed together, hunting spirit-level rabbits. In this world, even without a weapon, one can technically beat a rabbit to death if pushed to the limit. His gaze falls on a fallen rabbit nearby. A soul rises from the rabbit's corpse and flies directly into him, merging with his body. He has absorbed a soul fragment. His attack power increases by 1, as does his range. Feeling a surge of clarity, he moves to the center of the training area. He stands perfectly still, continuously absorbing the soul fragments drifting around him. Because so many people are training, his attributes undergo a staggering transformation in just 10 minutes. His power and range now far exceed those of normal players. And the best part? It keeps growing with every rabbit that falls. While he is busy harvesting souls, a voice calls out from the side. A young girl named Yao Yao points him out, pitying the archer who seems to have lost his bow. Her companion tells her to stay focused. They are struggling to gain experience themselves, after all, and have no time to carry a stranger who has been standing still for so long. 5 hours pass by in the blink of an eye. At the village entrance, the crowd of players finally begins to thin out, and our protagonist's attributes have undergone a truly remarkable change. His attack power has climbed to an exaggerated 4,258 points, and his attack range has reached 4,253 meters. About half an hour later, very few players are still emerging from the novice village, and the rate at which rabbits are dying nearby begins to drop. Seeing this, Double Mark decides not to linger and heads toward the level 1 training area, where the monsters are wild cats. These cats hit harder than rabbits, but their health is nearly the same, so they die just as quickly. Here, he spots some familiar faces. It's that same pair of siblings from before. The brother is a rogue and the sister a priest, and both are working hard to take down the cats. Every time a cat's claws land on the brother, he winces in pain. "Brother, look, I see that poor archer again," the sister says. "He's still level 0. Can we help him? He doesn't even have a weapon." To be honest, her kindness is a bit misplaced here. "Are you silly, sis? My dagger is practically smoking from all this swinging, and you have time to worry about a stranger?" Yao Yao falls silent at her brother's words, merely sending an apologetic look toward Double Mark. She realizes her brother is indeed working quite hard, so she casts a heal. A green light rises over his head, restoring 61 health, and he immediately beams with joy. "Kill 2 more cats, and we'll level up. Then, I'll take you to hunt level 2 monsters." "Okay, brother," she replies happily. But then, something unexpected appears. What exactly is that creature? It seems the atmosphere of the training ground is about to change completely. A wild cat king, a black iron tier boss. What on earth is it doing here? Following Yao Yao's startled cry, a wild cat the size of a husky suddenly spawns. This is the Wild Cat King, a black iron boss, its body wreathed in a faint, menacing purple glow. This sudden turn of events triggers a wave of exclamations from the surrounding players. Everyone shifts their focus entirely to the boss. The crowd descends into chaos amidst the shouting. A large number of players begin charging toward the Wild Cat King, while long-range classes launch their opening attacks. In the wild, bosses have no player limit. If your range is sufficient, you can join the fray. Afterward, the boss's experience rewards are distributed based on damage dealt, though anything under 1% doesn't count. As for the items, the loot belongs entirely to the one who lands the killing blow. Amidst the noisy crowd, Double Mark remains remarkably calm, because only he understands that the appearance of this Wild Cat King is no accident. It's a specific mechanic in Heart Origin. When monsters in a certain area die in massive numbers, there is a chance a regional boss will spawn. That is exactly what happened here, except in the rabbit area, of course. By now, attacks from several long-range classes have already begun landing on the Wild Cat King. Everyone watches with racing hearts, hoping these strikes find their mark. If they can deal damage, it means the boss can be killed. However, the crowd is left utterly stunned as the volley of long-range attacks hits the Wild Cat King, only for a few measly numbers like -2 or 3 to float above its head. Nearly 98% of the incoming damage is ruthlessly swallowed up by the boss's defense. This sight leaves the surrounding players in complete shock. In the middle of it all, only our protagonist knows the reason why. You see, damage calculation in Heart Origin is quite different from traditional games. If an attack doesn't break through the defense, it deals absolutely no damage. Not even a single point of force damage is allowed. Meanwhile, the players' feeble attempts have thoroughly enraged the Wildcat King. With a piercing shriek, its sharp claws snap out as it lunges toward the crowd. A group of warrior players standing directly in front of the Wildcat King is instantly wiped out by its sheer violence. The crowd descends into a panicked mess. Watching the players flee in terror from the boss, Double Mark gives a cold smile and walks toward it. Is he out of his mind? At the same time, the Wildcat King notices his presence, a flicker of disdain crossing its eyes. Those frantic, retreating players are frozen in disbelief, and the pair of siblings from before can hardly believe their eyes. Amidst this collective shock, a game notification rings in Double Mark's ears, announcing a world-class achievement. Since he is the first player in the entire server to slay a Black Iron tier boss, his reputation soars, and he is awarded Silver tier equipment, along with the unique title of Pioneer. As the first to achieve this feat, his name is destined to spread across the world. The system asks if he wishes to hide his name from the entire Star Garden continent. He chooses not to, letting the world-class announcement ring out. Along with Silver tier equipment, he receives a massive reputation boost and the unique title of Pioneer. At this moment, every player in the game has only one thought: who is this Double Mark, and how can they contact him? While the crowd remains in a state of total shock, our protagonist moves with lightning speed to snatch up the loot before disappearing into the distance. We find him later, hiding in a quiet corner of the novice village to check his gains. He allocates his 10 new attribute points into Constitution and then turns his attention to his inventory. There, an item glows with a faint green light: the exquisite Wildcat boots. It seems the first kill bonus allowed a Black Iron boss to drop Bronze tier equipment. However, being only level 2, he can't wear them just yet. But besides this bronze gear, there is still a silver treasure chest waiting to be opened. He takes a deep breath and pries it open, releasing a brilliant silver light. This is the musical longbow, a silver tier weapon with impressive stats. Its attack range is increased by 50, and its attack speed by 10%. Its active skill, Musical Carnival, boosts firing speed to 200% for 10 seconds. With a 1-hour cooldown, it's a powerful tool. His eyes light up. He specifically needs the skills this bow provides. After stowing the bow, he disguises himself as a novice and blends into the leveling crowds, bypassing the Wildcat area entirely. He heads toward the distant Wild Dog leveling zone. There are still many players here, though the density is much more manageable. He finds a relatively crowded spot and begins to act the part, occasionally firing an arrow into empty spaces to look busy. Just as he is peacefully collecting soul fragments, a petite figure approaches him. "Great God, Double Mark?" she asks. "Is it you?" He calmly replies that she has the wrong person. "Impossible," she insists. "I've been watching you for quite a while now. You are definitely Double Mark." To be honest, her persistence is a bit unexpected, but he maintains his poker face. He tells her again she's mistaken, but she won't be fooled, claiming she remembers his silhouette. "Can I add you as a friend?" she pleads. "If you ever need a healer, call me. My healing output is huge. And besides, my older brother is also very useful. If you need any errands run, I can make him do it." The girl, Yao Yao, says while pointing to a man nearby throwing daggers with a blur of speed. The thief, Ing, shouts for help as his health plummets. Yao Yao doesn't hesitate for a second. She simply raises her hand, and in the next moment, a green light rises over the thief's head, restoring 88 health points. Our protagonist's eyebrows twitch. That is an incredibly high heal. At this level, a priest is lucky to heal for 40 points. Yet this girl named Yao Yao is somehow managing to output 88. He agrees to add her, only to find she's already sent the request. Her name is Yao Yao Gets Karsik. He realizes she is one of the 3 legendary healers from his past life, known as the Human Fountain. However, back then, she had a cold, unapproachable aura, nothing like this bubbly, slightly naive girl standing before him now. Still, if this priest really is that legendary healer, then the man with her must be someone specific. He asks if her brother's name is Yu Ying. "Do you know my brother?" she asks. It is indeed him, Yu Ying, a veteran thief and a notorious sister-obsessed fanatic. In the world of Star Source, he was a top-tier player whose talent focused on acceleration, making him a perfect tool for certain tasks. At this thought, a small smile plays on our protagonist's lips. He decides not to add the brother yet, telling Yao Yao he will just contact her directly if he needs anything. After a bit more small talk, he leaves the Wild Dog zone. By now, the main wave of players has already reached level 3. While the elite players are nearing level 5, he remembers clearly that the first player to reach level 5 can claim the only unique quest in the Novice Village, which comes with a one-of-a-kind reward. This reward will be a massive help for his future progression. 6 hours have already passed since the game began. Because he is using a standard gaming helmet, his daily limit is only 8 hours. He must use his remaining time to reach level 5 and claim that dungeon quest. Once the quest is accepted, he can wait until tomorrow's login to actually complete it. Checking his talent, he sees it has stacked over 6,000 times. With a range and power of 6,000 meters, he can essentially one-shot any ordinary monster at this stage. Relying on his memories of the map, he bypasses all the zones, below level 9 and heads straight for the deepest part of the novice village, the level 10 leveling grounds. He moves past the lower level areas with purpose, arriving at the edge of a massive, imposing forest. We see a vast valley where level 10 monsters known as brutal bears roam. They possess high health and thick defense, but their movements are sluggish. While skilled players could fight them one-on-one, he doesn't need to take any risks at all because of his incredible attack range. Instead of entering the valley, he climbs a towering cliff nearby. From this vantage point, he can look down upon every single bear below him. The distance to the bears is less than 1,000 meters. He sets aside his novice bow, equips the musical longbow, and draws back the string. In one fluid motion, he releases. The arrow strikes a brutal bear with surgical precision, and its health drops by over 60,000 points. With just that single shot, the bear's health bar is instantly deleted. He has killed the creature and earned 180 experience points. He draws his bow again, aiming at the next target. Another kill, another 180 experience. For the next while, he transforms into a cold, efficient sniping machine. Every arrow takes a life, and before long, he finally reaches level 5. As soon as he hits level 5, a system announcement rings in his ears. It congratulates him on being the very first player to reach this milestone. His strength has earned the recognition of the novice village chief. He is instructed to head to village number 3 to meet the chief. The moment has arrived. Knowing exactly what to do, he crushes a return scroll and is instantly transported back to the village. He finds the village chief quickly. The old man tells him that he has an incredibly important task and asks if he is willing to help. "I am willing," he replies. To be honest, he had been waiting for this specific question since the game started. The chief beams, telling him he knew he wasn't mistaken about his potential. He explains that in the volcano to the west, there is a lava demon. He needs our protagonist to defeat it and use a special scroll to seal the beast away. And there it is. He has triggered the unique hidden quest, the Volcano Demon. It is located at the westernmost edge of the starting lands. The mission is clear. Find the lava demon in the scorching volcano and use the scroll to seal it. He has 3 days to complete it. Checking the clock, he sees he has barely 10 minutes left before his 8-hour limit. He decides to log off right then and there. Since this is a unique quest, once he has accepted it, no other player can take it from the chief. He removes his gaming helmet. After a full night of gaming, he is absolutely famished. He quickly cooks a bowl of instant noodles, eats, and falls fast asleep as time slips by. Our story resumes as the clock strikes midnight. With a flash of light, we return to the game world as he logs back in. He reappears exactly where he left off, inside the village chief's house. Checking the timer, he sees 16 minutes remaining from his previous session. This gives him a total of 8 hours and 16 minutes of playtime. Since the system caps accumulated time at 16 hours, he is well within the limit. That unique hidden quest is still active in his log. During his rest, he had carefully recalled every detail of the strategy for this specific mission. Deep down, he already knows exactly how to proceed. However, there is one crucial matter to attend to first now that he has reached level 5. He has finally met the requirements to upgrade his universal skills. Every profession starts with a basic skill that can be evolved. For his class, the basic skill is single-shot heavy arrow. Once upgraded, it becomes the far more lethal double-shot heavy arrow. He heads into the village center. He finds the skill instructor, a man named Jun, and spends 100 copper coins to upgrade to double-shot heavy arrow. Next, he opens his friend list. He sees his only friend, Yao Yao, is currently online. He immediately sends her a message asking if she wants to join him for a quest. Elsewhere, at a level 4 wild boar grinding spot, Yao Yao is leaning against a tree, looking quite bored as she idly plays with her novice scepter. Not far from her, the rogue Yuying is busy fighting, his daggers moving in a blur of shadows. Suddenly, a notification chime rings out. The sound startles Yao Yao, but her eyes light up when she sees the messages from him. To be honest, she couldn't reply fast enough. She enthusiastically agrees, telling him she'd be delighted to quest with a pro like him. He simply asks for her coordinates so he can find her. Yao Yao sends her location immediately. He tracks the coordinates and, before long, arrives at the training grounds where she is waiting. The young girl waves her arms excitedly when she spots him, jumping up and down to get his attention. She's clearly happy to see a familiar face. He tells her that leveling here is far too slow and offers to take her somewhere better. Without a second thought, he sends her a party invite. Yao Yao doesn't hesitate for a second, instantly leaving her brother's party to join his instead. It was a very easy choice for her, really. Meanwhile, Yuying is still buried in combat with the wild boars. He doesn't even notice she's gone until he realizes his experience gain has changed. Confused, he looks around and calls out for Yao Yao, wondering where on earth she could have disappeared so suddenly. He asks why she left without a word. She simply replies that she's already joined the pros party and is heading toward a high-level area. He warns her about high-level areas, telling Yao Yao she's still young and needs to watch out for bad people. Yuying is starting to panic, pleading for her to come back. Even though it's just a game, he refuses to let his little sister be taken advantage of. He decides he must send a stern warning to this player, Yijin Shuangbiao. But as he tries to send the message, he realizes he can't find him. That scoundrel actually hasn't added him as a friend yet, leaving him shouting into the void. Frustrated, he curses the man's name, telling Yijian Shuangbiao to just wait and see. Meanwhile, our protagonist is already leading Yao Yao away. Moving with the confidence of someone who knows the path by heart, he arrives at the Savage Bear leveling grounds. Yao Yao asks in awe if they are really hunting level 10 monsters. She wonders if they can actually win. He simply offers a quiet smile without saying a word, taking his position on the high ground to draw his bow. An arrow whistles through the air, dealing over 6,000 damage. The Savage Bear below is killed instantly, granting him 75 experience points. As he absorbs a soul fragment, his attack power and range both increase by 1. Nearby, Yao Yao has witnessed the entire display with wide-eyed shock. Her mouth is hanging open wide enough to fit an egg. She had imagined many ways he might kill monsters, but never did she expect a single shot from hundreds of meters away. He had sniped the bear with terrifying precision. To be honest, she couldn't help but think he was vastly more powerful than her own brother. He doesn't pay much attention to her amazement, though. Instead, he pulls out his musical longbow and begins a rapid-fire assault on the valley below. Each bear provides 75 experience, but he needs 6,000 to level up. It's a slow grind, but there is simply no other way around it. To complete his unique quest quickly, he knows he'll eventually need a priest's healing. Sharing experience to get her to level 5 is a necessary investment. Under his relentless barrage of arrows, Yao Yao's experience bar begins to fill at a visible speed. It's a sight most players would find hard to believe. Finally, the bar hits the limit. Feeling a bit dazed by the sudden progress, Yao Yao excitedly announces that she has reached level 5. She can hardly believe it. Yesterday, her brother was swinging his daggers like a whirlwind and they never moved this fast. Her chatter doesn't slow him down, however. He continues to systematically eliminate the bears below. He calmly tells her that if she has nothing else to do, she should go down and collect the loot. Yao Yao chirps a quick agreement and starts heading down into the valley. Last time, he was in such a rush to return to the village that he left a field of items behind. He isn't about to let things go to waste this time. Level 10 equipment might be hard to sell right now, but the copper coins are certainly real enough. He remains on the ridge, providing cover fire while Yao Yao busies herself below. Within minutes, his rapid sniping has cleared a significant path for her. As the savage bears below are cleared out once again, our protagonist prepares to move on, but a sudden cry from Yao Yao echoes through the valley. She shouts that a boss has appeared. His heart skips a beat as his gaze quickly finds the massive silhouette that has just spawned in the gorge. Yao Yao, who was busy collecting loot, immediately sends over the monster's information. It is a bronze-tier boss, the Savage Bear Guardian. He scans its panel, noting skills like Roar of the Earth and Savage Charge. It is certainly a formidable opponent for a level 10 bronze boss. The creature's attributes are staggering, to say the least. Under normal circumstances, an ordinary player wouldn't even be able to break through its defense. Its stats are truly off the charts, making it an impossible wall for most. Fortunately, our archer's attack power has already reached 645. Without any damage reduction, a single arrow can shave off over 4,000 health. He quickly tells Yao Yao to back away for her safety. He sends her a message saying he will handle this boss alone, then immediately activates the active skill of his musical longbow. The skill, Musical Carnival, is now active. For the next 10 seconds, his firing speed is boosted to 200% with a 1-hour cooldown. His current speed allows for one shot every 2 seconds, but with the musical longbow skill active, he can fire over 10 times in those 10 seconds. Beyond that, he can utilize his archer skills to unleash a devastating double heavy arrow attack for even more burst damage. This skill fires 2 heavy arrows at a single target simultaneously, with each arrow dealing 150% of his attack power. It costs 20 mana and has an 8-second cooldown. According to the skill description, this should deal 12,000 damage to the Guardian. He steadies his hand and immediately chains his skills, leading with the double heavy arrow before unleashing the musical carnival barrage. He begins a frantic rapid-fire assault, and once the 10 seconds pass, he finishes the rotation with another double heavy arrow. Poor Yao Yao can only watch. From her hiding spot, she sees a dense cloud of damage numbers erupt over the Savage Bear Guardian's head. Its health bar begins to plummet. Like a dam bursting, the boss's health drains away until it is completely empty. Just like that, the level 10 boss is instantly deleted. She thought taking down a black iron boss was his limit, but he just vaporized a bronze boss. Meanwhile, he sees his level jump to 8. The game notification chimes in his ear, congratulating him on the kill. He has successfully defeated the bronze-tier Savage Bear Guardian. His level rises to 8, and as the first player on the server to slay a bronze boss, he is awarded 30 points of prestige. He receives a gold-tier equipment selection box, 30 free attribute points, and a universal skill book of his choice. A notification informs him that his deeds will be spread across the Starfield continent, asking if he wishes to hide his name. Once again, a server-wide announcement rings out, and players busy grinding monsters instantly lose their minds in disbelief. A level 10 bronze boss, at the wild boar leveling spot, Yu Ying, who was messaging his sister, freezes in shock. He had assumed his sister was being scammed, but it turns out she really was leveling, and even helped slay a bronze boss. The first time might be luck, but the second time proves real strength. However, he worries this kid might take his sister away. He asks Yao Yao for their location so he can visit, but she tells him not to come, as she is already heading back to the village. She explains that the uncle is taking her to upgrade her priest skills. Back in the novice village, we see them approach the priest trainer. After upgrading her healing art, our archer hands over a piece of equipment dropped by the bronze boss. It is the Hell Necklace, a black iron tier item that adds 10 magic and increases mana recovery speed by 30%. This will greatly improve Yao Yao's sustainability, which is essential for the unique quest he plans to tackle next. He also equips the Guardian Leather Armor, a silver tier item with the skill Earth Guardian, which triggers upon taking fatal damage. It allows him to survive with 1 health point, a vital safety net that makes his fragile frame just a little bit sturdier. Aside from the gear, the Guardian dropped over 600 copper coins, and he fairly gives half to Yao Yao. After dividing the loot, he immediately uses the universal skill book he received. To be honest, it was an easy choice. He unhesitatingly selects the passive skill Split Arrow, which causes arrows to divide upon hitting a target. Once triggered, 3 arrow shadows split off to automatically attack nearby enemies, each dealing 80% physical damage. The shadows have a range of half his total firing distance, and the skill has a 1-second toggle cooldown with no mana cost. This is the only area of effect skill available to archers before level 10, and its utility as a toggleable passive is immense. It is exactly what he needs now that players are no longer as densely packed as they were at the server's opening. The player army is essentially working for him now, but their hunting speed can't match his efficiency, making Split Arrow the perfect choice. With that need satisfied, he opens the gold tier equipment box. At the moment, however, he is only level 8. Most of the items in the gold selection box require level 10 to equip. He begins to carefully browse through the massive pile of gear. After a thorough search, he finally selects a ring, the Swift Ring, a gold tier accessory. When combined with the Flame Moon Carnival skill from his music longbow, his attack speed will quadruple for 10 seconds. With that level of burst damage, no boss at this stage could possibly survive. He equips the ring and heads to the weapon shop. After restocking 2,000 arrows, he calls for Yao Yao to head out. It is finally time to complete that unique quest. Not long after they leave, Yu Ying finally rushes back to the village on foot. He searches everywhere, but his sister is nowhere to be found. He frantically wonders where she went, fearing that our archer has made off with his precious sister. His concern, while perhaps a bit dramatic, is quite real. Outside the village, we see him and Yao Yao heading west. Along the way, he casually one-shots every monster they encounter. He doesn't even stop to pick up the loot or copper coins, focusing solely on stacking his talent. Yao Yao sighs, wishing her brother were there. She mentions that her brother is very fast and could pick up the equipment without slowing them down at all. Hearing this, he feels a spark of interest. To be honest, Yu Ying's talent for running is indeed top tier. As his firing range grows longer, he realizes that running back and forth to collect loot is becoming a massive waste of time. The idea of a dedicated looper is tempting. He asks where her brother is, and she confirms he is back at the novice village. He tells her to send their coordinates. Once the location is sent, they continue their journey toward the quest objective. He knows that with Yu Ying's speed, the man will catch up in no time. Sure enough, less than 5 minutes pass, and Yao Yao announces that her brother has arrived. We see a dark figure in the distance approaching them at an incredible pace. Yu Ying's legs are moving so fast they leave after images. Clearly, he isn't willing to waste a single second getting to his sister. Yu Ying shouts for the kid to stay away from his sister, or else he shouldn't blame him for what happens next. But before he can finish, a wooden arrow strikes a deer nearby, dealing a staggering 6,841 damage. Yu Ying's eyes nearly pop out of his head. He had seen the archer's power before, but back then, he was only hitting for 4,000. Now it's nearly 7,000. He wonders how this guy gets more ridiculous by the day, before being asked what he was saying. Caught off guard, Yu Ying stammers that he was just saying, well, what he meant to say was, "Great God, did you need me for something specific?" Yes, he changed his tune quite quickly, didn't he? Our archer explains that since Yao Yao mentioned he was fast, he has a specific proposition for him. He wants Yu Ying to help pick up loot in the distance, as he simply can't keep up with his own kill rate. Yu Ying is momentarily offended. A future rogue king with an SS rank talent shouldn't be a mere looper. Until he hears the offer, a 50-50 split on all the gold made from selling the gear he picks up. Suddenly, the impossible becomes a done deal. To be honest, everyone has a price. The party invitation is sent, and Yu Ying tells his sister he loves her. He's ready to get to work. Having seen that massive damage, Yu Ying truly believes the claim that there is too much loot to handle. In this world, despite the game's massive popularity backed by global governments, the drop rates remain notoriously low. It's quite tragic, really. Most players still don't have a single decent piece of equipment to their name. Even a powerhouse like our protagonist is still wearing novice cloth armor, which shows just how stingy the game can be. Yu Ying decides that for his sister's future, losing a little face to work as a looper is a small price to pay. With the team assembled, they stop wasting time, sniping every monster along the path while moving toward their goal. Along the way, we see that Yu Ying's movement speed is actually superior to the archer's own. Considering our hero has 68 agility, comparable to a level 10 full agility rogue, Yuying is moving even faster than imagined. Despite being only level 4, Yuying manages to pick up every single piece of dropped equipment at that breakneck speed. One has to wonder what his talent actually is, but one thing is certain: if he focused solely on running away, there are likely very few people who could ever catch him. While we might be surprised, Yuying is already full of joy. The drop rate for newcomers is notoriously low, but our archer's kill speed is so high that the sheer volume of monsters makes up for it. Naturally, the equipment starts piling up. He chuckles, thinking he can sell a basic staff for 80 copper and buy Yao Yao a durian. Another weapon drops. This one will fetch 120 copper, enough to treat Yao Yao to a grilled fish dinner. Even a pair of boots appears, perfect for buying his sister a late-night snack. And so, the three of them continue their trek. Fighting as they go, they finally reach the volcanic region at the western edge of the novice village. Because our hero carries the sealing scroll, he has drawn the unwanted attention of the volcanic demon, Cowardwa. Within this zone, the flames cause continuous burning damage. The closer they get to the heart of the volcano, the stronger the burn becomes. Fortunately, the strategy for this boss was mastered long ago. With a priest like Yao Yao in the party and now Yuying's help, clearing this dungeon shouldn't be a problem at all. Our archer instructs Yuying to go ahead and lure all the flame imps in the volcanic area toward them. Yuying agrees instantly, while the archer tells Yao Yao to keep a close eye on her brother's health. She nods eagerly in response. After giving the orders, our hero takes a few steps back to leave the volcanic zone. As he retreats, the damage numbers over his head vanish. Yuying, full of bravado, charges headlong into the heat. A few moments later, however, a figure comes sprinting back from behind the rocks. With a trail of black smoke rising from his backside, he screams for help, realizing he might have bitten off more than he can chew. It turns out these flame imps are long-range casters. As he begs Yao Yao for a save, a bright green light rises to meet him. Yuying's health bar refills instantly. Her upgraded healing art is significantly more powerful than the basic version, to say the least. Yuying is visibly shocked by the sheer volume of Yao Yao's healing, narrowly dodging a fireball from behind. Right then, an arrow arrives. The projectile flies from a distance, striking the lead flame imp with pinpoint accuracy. Upon impact, the arrow does its work. In an instant, the arrow splits into 3, striking the nearby imps and killing them instantly. In less than a second, 11 monsters are gone. The remaining imps don't even have time to react before another volley falls, and suddenly, the entire battlefield goes silent. Yuying watches from a distance, completely stunned. He had tried his best to estimate our hero's power, but he realizes he was still far off. He asks if the archer has always been this powerful, to which Yao Yao simply replies that the great god has always been incredible. Yuying can't help but feel that his own SS-rank talent seems a bit lackluster in comparison. With the minor monsters cleared, it is time to lure out the boss from the heart of the volcano. After a few quick instructions, our hero sends Yuying forward again. While the volcanic demon, Cowardwa, is technically a field boss, he has a very specific territory he refuses to leave. Pulling such a boss out into the open is usually impossible, but our hero is a special case. His range has already reached 7,000 meters. That distance is enough to span the entire volcano. As long as Cowardwa shows his face, our archer can strike him down. Poor Yuying's only role now is to serve as the bait to draw the demon out. Suddenly, a muffled boom echoes from deep within the mountain. Thick, rolling smoke billows into the sky, and amidst the chaos, a massive figure begins to rise from the central pool of lava. The ground trembles as the beast fully emerges into view. This is the volcanic demon, Cowardwa, a creature capable of flame roars, summoning minions, and triggering massive lava eruptions. Cowardwa's voice is like thunder, shaking the entire volcanic region. Even players hunting far away can hear the commotion. The regional chat channel immediately explodes with activity. And while this beast looks much stronger than the Manxiong Guardian, the truth is that only its health bar is truly impressive. To our hero, it doesn't pose much of a threat at all. The moment the demon appears, our archer opens up with his usual heavy double shot. In the distance, the volcanic demon roars repeatedly, but he is tethered to the volcanic core. He can only vent his fury on the ground beneath him. Cowardwa slams his massive palms down, shattering the volcanic rock and leaving deep craters in the earth. After a few more shots, our hero's attack speed begins to stack, and he immediately activates the skill of his musical longbow. With the musical carnival skill active, his attack speed doubles instantly. In a blur of motion, the arrows from his bow begin to accelerate at an exaggerated pace. The sheer speed of his firing is almost impossible to follow with the naked eye. In what feels like a heartbeat, the demon's massive health bar is completely emptied. The demon core now floats silently beside the corpse, glowing with a sinister light. It radiates an evil, flickering flame that seems to pulse with dark energy. Our hero takes the sealing scroll and slaps it onto the core, successfully sealing the flame demon. The mission is finally complete. Seeing the completed status on his unique quest, even he feels a small surge of excitement. This first kill dropped a generous reward. 2 pieces of gold-grade equipment and 1 gold-grade item. First, the Demon Staff, a gold-tier weapon that can summon minions. It summons 3 flame imps to fight alongside the wielder, while the mana burn passive enhances the power of every spell cast. By consuming double the mana, the user can boost their spell power to 130%. It is quite clear that this is a top-tier item for a glass cannon mage. The summoned imps serve as perfect meat shields while the mana burn maximizes damage output. Then there is the Demon Collar, a gold-tier accessory. Its active skill, Magic Body Immunity, removes all negative status effects from the wearer. It has a 1-hour cooldown, and the Blood Burn passive reduces maximum health to 90% of its original value, a small price to pay, considering it grants a massive 50-point boost to resistance. Beyond the gear, there is also a gold-tier consumable, the Demon's Hell. This one-time use item can confuse a designated enemy for 5 seconds. For our hero, this will be incredibly useful for his future plans. It is only then that he notices the area outside the volcano is now packed with players. From the crowd, a man steps forward. A tall, sturdy middle-aged warrior with a thick, rugged beard. Yu Ying and Yao Yao remain silent, instinctively turning their gazes toward our hero to see how he will react. This simple gesture tells the newcomer, Batian Yi Dao, everything he needs to know. Yijian Shuangbiao is clearly the leader of this trio. The man asks if Brother Shuangbiao has any interest in joining the Batian Guild, even offering him the prestigious position of Hall Master. As soon as the words leave his mouth, the surrounding crowd erupts in a collective gasp of shock. To offer Brother Shuangbiao a mere Hallmaster position seems almost insulting to some. I think you should stop calling yourself Batian Yi Dao and call yourself Blind Yi Dao instead, someone shouts, causing another wave of surprised murmurs from the onlookers. It is Yushin Dangtian, the leader of the Yushin Guild. Yijian Shuangbiao, if you join our guild, I will personally make you our first elder, and if you perform well, I can even promote you to vice president. Vice president? In his past life, this Yushin Guild was notorious for its disgusting behavior. Bloody memories of them conspiring with evil gods and betraying the players still flicker vividly before our hero's eyes. And now, they actually have the nerve to invite him to join? It's truly laughable. If he didn't have to return and turn in his quest, he might have considered starting a PK match to delete Yushin Dangtian right here. Sorry everyone, I have no plans to join a guild. He accepts Batian Yi Dao's friend request and immediately crushes a return scroll, leaving without giving the Yushin Guild a second look. Yushin Dangtian's face instantly darkens with rage. As the crowd disperses, news of Yijian Shuangbiao's boss kill and his rejection of the major guild spreads like wildfire across the forums. Of course, he has no time for that. He has already returned to the village. Village Chief, I have completed the mission. The old man takes the item, looks at it, and nods. I knew you were a true warrior. This is the reward you deserve. A notification chimes. He has completed the unique quest, the Volcano Demon. He receives the unique item, Angel Wings. These wings can be soulbound, allowing the wearer to control them and fly freely. They are even upgradable. In his past life, this was the gear everyone craved, obtainable only by the first person to finish the quest. With a single thought, the wings on his back tremble slightly, and he suddenly lifts off into the air. The players nearby, who are still busy with basic tasks, cry out in amazement. Experiencing flight for the first time, he is overjoyed, landing only after half an hour. Congratulations, he has reached level 10. For a moment, he feels a bit dazed. In his previous life, reaching level 10 took him nearly 10 full days. In this life, it took only 2. Suddenly, a server-wide announcement rings out. A player has reached level 10. The level rankings have officially opened, and the server-wide announcement leaves the entire player base in a state of utter shock. Are you kidding me? I'm still at level 4, and someone is already level 10. The players cry out in disbelief. Is the gap between them really that massive? But then they see the name. It's the great god Shuangbiao. Well, in that case, it actually makes sense. Meanwhile, at a level 6 grinding spot, Yushin Dangtian's expression is looking particularly grim. He realizes this Yijian Shuangbiao is far too big of a threat. If he cannot be used, then he must be destroyed. Hey Lu, he says. Go and investigate him thoroughly. If he truly doesn't know what's good for him, don't worry, President, the subordinate replies. While they plot, we see our hero send a screenshot of the demon staff stats to Batian Yi Dao. There is an auction house, but it charges a 10% fee, and he'd rather save that money. Not long after sending the image, Batian Yi Dao replies, I'll give you 100,000 copper coins for this gear. Name a place, and we can trade directly, the guild leader offers. He tells him to send someone to the beginner village entrance. Soon, a young man named Batian Xiao Zhuanfeng comes running over. The messenger is exceptionally polite, and the two quickly complete the trade. To be honest, the young man seems a bit nervous. He doesn't even dare leave the village, heading straight for the warehouse instead. Finally, our hero can focus on stacking his talent. He flies over the level 0 rabbits, using his superior attack range and the cleave effect to clear the entire area in under 2 minutes. He repeats the process at the level 1 spot, systematically wiping them out. At the same time, he reaches out to Yao Yao Hui Yunche. He gives her coordinates and tells her to bring her brother, Yu Ying, to wait for him. As he flies toward the target location, his talent stacks have already surpassed 10,000 layers. When he finally descends from the sky to land in front of the siblings, Their eyes nearly pop out of their heads in amazement. The group soon arrives at a small valley made of volcanic ash, not far from where the flame demon was slain. He pulls out the sealed scroll processed by the village chief. A prompt appears. Residual aura of the flame demon detected. Use the scroll to open the teleportation interface. He confirms, and a notification rings out. Player Ejian Shuangbiao has opened the dungeon, Breath of the Demon. All players level 10 and above may now enter the adventure. The dungeon hasn't been open for even half a minute before our hero's friend notifications start chiming incessantly. Batian Yidao agrees to the terms without a second thought. After all, a server-wide first clear is worth more than any advertisement. While waiting for Batian Yidao to arrive, several players grinding nearby begin to gather around the entrance. They recognize him immediately, and a few female players quickly approach with hopeful smiles. Hey, great God, our party is full of girls. One claims to be a priest with plenty of healing to offer, while another points to her uncle's high-damage pet as a selling point. Watching this unfold, Yao Yao Hui Yunch's pout practically reaches the sky. To be honest, she feels like her favorite treasure is being eyed by thieves. Batian Yidao doesn't keep them waiting long. Terrified that another guild might snatch the first clear, he arrives in record time. He brings 8 elite guild members along, and our hero quickly organizes the party, including Yao Yao and the Batian squad. Once we're inside, follow my lead, he instructs calmly. I'll guarantee you a safe and steady first clear. Batian Yidao nods, assuring him that anyone who disobeys can be kicked immediately. But then, Yu Ying realizes he's been left out. The guild members can pick up loot, so I don't need you for now, our hero says, leading the group inside and leaving Yu Ying stunned. You've got to be kidding me, Ejian Shuangbiao, taking my sister and leaving me behind again. The young man fumes in vain. A prompt appears. Entering dungeon, Breath of the Demon. Please select difficulty. Without hesitation, he selects Hell mode. As the teleportation begins, the group is instantly transported into the heart of the Hell-level dungeon. It's a warm welcome, so to speak. A wave of scorching heat hits them the moment they arrive, causing immediate discomfort. That's when the Batian members notice the setting. Their faces pale as they realize the mistake. Wait, why are we in Hell mode? Brother Shuangbiao, this is suicide. The items I need only drop in Hell mode, he replies simply. Hearing this, Batian Yidao wisely decides to keep his mouth shut. The other guild players aren't quite as stoic. They keep quiet out of respect, but their private chat is absolutely exploding with complaints. What is this Ejian Shuangbiao thinking? They mutter to one another. He's acting like this is some casual stroll. Choosing the highest difficulty without a single practice run seems like madness to them. But for our hero, the trial is just beginning. Batian Yidao reasons that if our hero dared to choose this difficulty, he must have a plan. Hearing this, the others have no choice but to temporarily shut their mouths. Naturally, he has no idea the Batian members are gossiping about him in their private chat. His attention is already fixed on the dungeon. Information before them. He had actually attempted this hell-level Breath of the Demon in his past life, though he ultimately fell before the final boss. That boss was a perfect counter to melee combat, rendering his previous abilities useless and leading to a total party wipe. But things are different now. He takes the music longbow in hand and gives a direct order to a player dressed as a thief in the party. They are elite members of the Batian Guild, after all, even if they don't understand the Hell mode choice or his strange commands. Their professional gaming instincts are top-notch. Pulling, kiting, and healing. The entire process begins to flow like water. At that moment, the thief who rushed out lures in a swarm of demons. These humanoid monsters let out a roar the moment they spot the thief in charge. The thief looks tense. These demons have high attack but low defense, and if he takes even 2 hits, he might just die on the spot. Seeing this, the party's tank prepares to move in, but our hero simply raises his bow and fires 3 arrows in a single second. Combining double heavy arrows with split arrows, a massive wave of damage numbers suddenly erupts over the heads of the molten demons. Every single hit is over 10,000 damage. In an instant, the 7 or 8 demons chasing the thief drop dead, leaving behind nothing but a pile of equipment and copper coins. Everyone present freezes in total shock. What on earth just happened? 10,000 damage per hit, one-shotting mobs. Even Batian Yidao is rendered speechless. He knew Shuangbiao was strong, but he didn't realize he was this powerful. Still, seeing this display of strength finally allows everyone to breathe a sigh of relief. To be honest, they were right to be worried. What are you standing around for? Go pick up the loot, our hero calls out. The group snaps out of it, and the tank is the first to rush forward too. Gather the dropped gear. Meanwhile, the thief player continues his work, kiting and drawing out all the remaining molten demons. In less than a minute, the entire valley entrance is cleared of demons. This level of efficiency is something even the elite Batian squad, who have seen it all, can't help but admire. I don't need this gear, so why don't you all give me a fair price for it? Batian Yidao is straightforward, offering a reasonable price based on gold tier equipment. Our hero, of course, doesn't mind at all. Our group continues forward, soon arriving at the mouth of a cavern where a swarm of demons hangs upside down from the ceiling. We see Shuangbiao raise his hand and fire a single arrow, followed by a combination of double heavy arrows and split arrows mixed with basic attacks. The nearest cluster of demons is instantly obliterated, leaving the rest of the party feeling a bit dizzy from the sheer speed of it all. As they venture deeper, 3 separate tunnels appear. Our hero knows the middle path leads to the boss, while the others house the necessary switches. Without a moment's hesitation, he leads them into the left tunnel. After walking for less than 3 minutes, the path opens up entirely. A massive underground chamber reveals itself to the group. At the very center of this vast space stands a magnificent altar of flames. A petrified demon stands guard in the middle of the altar, and right behind it, we can see a lever-like switch. To reach the boss, that switch must be flipped. However, the only path connecting the tunnel to the altar is a single, narrow chain bridge. Beneath the bridge lies an endless darkness. This trial requires someone to cross the chains and step onto the altar to wake the demon. Once it awakens, it will destroy the bridge. Unless the person who crossed can kill the demon before the chains break, they are surely doomed. The thief who had been kiting earlier steps forward, offering to go since his movement speed is high enough to perhaps buy some time. He repeats his offer, confident that his agility might allow him to distract the beast. To be honest, it's a bit of a suicide mission. Shuangbiao nods, signaling for him to proceed. The thief immediately dashes across the chain bridge and leaps onto the central altar. The moment his feet touch the stone, a heavy, muffled roar echoes in everyone's ears. A voice booms about the arrogance of mere humans. It claims that the great flame demon Loran is not to be disturbed, and the statue instantly shudders back to life. Flames erupt across its body as it transforms into the elite demon guard, Chunod. It is a terrifying sight, to say the least. The distance is quite far, and the party wonders if their leader can even hit the demon from here. Everyone freezes in sudden doubt. While the others worry, our hero has already drawn his bow. A simple wooden arrow is notched against the silver moon longbow and sent flying. Every eye follows the wooden arrow until it strikes the demon guard. Suddenly, the demon's health bar takes a massive hit. 12,480 damage. The numbers speak for themselves. Can he hit it? Yes, it seems he certainly can. The demon guard roars, calling the intruders insects and demanding they face him, but he is already reeling under the relentless assault. Under the weight of such overwhelming power, the elite guard lasts less than 8 seconds before collapsing in a final, dying breath. As the boss falls, a pile of equipment spills across the altar. Fortunately, the thief who had been drawing the demon's hatred survived the ordeal. He quickly gathers the loot, while Shuangbiao ignores the useless black iron and silver tier items that don't meet his high standards. However, he decides to keep a specific silver scepter. Its base attributes are quite ordinary, but it carries a rare and invaluable resurrection skill. He instructs the thief to give the scepter to Yao Yao. When the young girl receives the silver item, she can hardly believe her luck. She feels a bit lightheaded. A top-tier item like this was handed to her without our hero even blinking an eye. Once activated, it grants a second life. The realization of the skill's power leaves her stunned. After the gear is distributed, we see the thief pull the lever to activate the first switch. With the first task complete, Shuangbiao leads the group back to the three-way junction and chooses the path on the far right. Just like the previous chamber, this area contains another altar guarded by a petrified demon, waiting for someone to trigger the trap. Our hero repeats his successful strategy, expertly slaying the guard before it has any chance to destroy the narrow chain bridge. This victory yields several more silver and black iron items. Since none of these are useful to him, he decides to let the others share the spoils. He lets Bati and Yidao handle the distribution. Now that both altar switches are active, the party is finally ready to face the final boss. They follow the middle tunnel, descending deeper into the earth until they reach an underground cavern far larger than the previous two. Unlike the other rooms, there are no altars or minor demons here, only a steep stone staircase leading down into the depths of the cave. Below them, a sea of scorching lava churns violently. At the very center sits a massive, terrifying demon skull with its eyes tightly shut. This is the true master of the dungeon, the flame demon Loran. Along the edge of the lava are a few small, precarious stone platforms. These platforms only have room for 3 or 4 people, offering no other place to stand. To be honest, it's a tactical nightmare. In his past life, our hero fought this boss as a warrior, but his reach was simply too short to be effective against such a titan. Despite pushing his abilities to the limit back then, he couldn't escape the boss's lava bombardment. This time, however, the roles are reversed. In the end, another warrior in the team takes on the task. He carefully makes his way to the bottom and delivers a strike to the demon's head. His double-handed sword swing only deals a meager 5 points of damage. 2 blood-red single digits float up from the demon's massive skull. The warrior's face flushes with embarrassment at the sight. Compared to the tens of thousands of damage our hero deals, this is hardly worth looking at. Bati and Yidao also feels the sting of shame. He steals a quick glance at Shuangbiao, and seeing no reaction, he finally breathes a sigh of relief. Having taken damage, the sleeping boss finally awakens. He demands to know who is disturbing his slumber so early in the morning. He vows to make them pay the price. With a low, guttural roar, the demon in the lava gradually begins to reveal its true form. Unlike the giant version he fought outside, this incarnation of the flame demon Loran is only about 5 meters tall. However, despite his smaller stature, his attributes are a full tier higher than anything they have encountered before. Yes, he is smaller, but far more dangerous. This is the Flame Demon Loran in his Demon King form, a level 10 nightmare. His skills are terrifying: Flame Roar, Summon Demon, Magma Eruption, Giant's Body, and Ancient Rebirth. A formidable list, to say the least. When the demon's exaggerated stats are displayed before the group, a heavy silence falls over everyone. They wonder if this thing can even be killed. Some fear they are all going to die here, but others tell them not to talk nonsense. Still, all eyes turn toward our hero for a solution. We see that he has already drawn his bowstring. An arrow flies from his hand, precisely striking the flame demon below. A massive damage value of 9,754 appears over the demon. It seems our hero's power is exactly what is needed here. The flame demon's hatred is instantly drawn to him. The creature calls them wretched insects and declares that he is truly angry now. He shouts for Yao Yao to get out of the way as the demon prepares a devastating counterattack. A massive flame explosion erupts, followed by the harrowing sounds of screams echoing through the cavern. In an instant, the portraits representing the teammates turn black one after another. Only Yao Yao, standing right beside him, manages to survive. Everyone else, including Batian Yidao, has been wiped out. He tells Yao Yao to hold on tight as he flies toward the highest point of the cave. Yao Yao is scared to death, her hands gripping his arm with everything she has. Together, they soar toward the safety of the upper reaches. The highest point of the cavern is a full 500 meters above the lava where the flame demon stands. At this distance, the demon's attacks simply cannot reach. Our hero immediately raises his bow, raining arrows down upon the roaring flame demon below without a moment's pause. Unable to reach his target, the flame demon can only howl in impotent rage, smashing the magma around him into a chaotic spray. Meanwhile, the Batian Guild's private chat has absolutely exploded. The members are in shock, wondering what kind of insane damage that was. One warrior, despite having full health, was killed instantly. They wonder if Shuangbiao can actually defeat the boss. He is still alive and fighting, pushing his limits with every buff active. The musical carnival begins, and the final blessing is cast. He tells himself that the light will protect him as he succeeds. Yao Yao quickly applies a resurrection status to him, hoping for the best. Immediately after, the flame demon unleashes a devastating full-screen attack. Without any survival skills left, Yao Yao's health is instantly depleted. It is a tragic sight, but her sacrifice is not in vain. She has bought him precious time to deal damage. He moves like a ghost, dodging and weaving through the air, while Loran rages like a cornered lion. Soon, Loran's attacks can no longer touch him. He begins to employ a classic kiting tactic, keeping his distance while maintaining the pressure. Under his flexible maneuvering, Loran's health continues to drop until it finally hits the execution line. Without hesitation, he charges up his final strike. And there it is, the finishing blow. The fallen teammates are still worrying about the situation, but before they can even respawn, a game notification rings in their ears. Their team has successfully cleared the Hell level dungeon. It seems impossible, yet the system doesn't lie. The names of Shuangbiao, Yao Yao, and Batian Yidao are announced as the first players to ever conquer this nightmare. Their feat in the Demon's Breath dungeon will be recorded throughout the entire Star Source continent. The floating announcement catches everyone off guard. Batian Yidao and his crew are completely stunned. From the moment they engaged until now, barely 3 minutes have passed. The fact that the terrifying final boss has already been slain is, frankly, a bit ridiculous. Meanwhile, in a completely different normal level dungeon, the player Yushin is leading his guild's elite squad through a grueling battle with their own final boss. Unlike the Hell level version, the normal level is far less intense. The boss here stands on a vast, flat plane, and its stats are worlds apart from the nightmare we just witnessed. With proper kiting, the difficulty is quite manageable. Guild leader, it looks like this first clear belongs to our Yushin guild. Yes, that's right. Yushin replies with a smug grin. A confident smile spreads across Yoshin's long face. He assumes Batian Yidao, that fool, is still busy sucking up to Shuangbiao. But then, a system announcement rings out. Shuangbiao and the Batian Guild have completed the Demon's Breath dungeon. The first clear? What? A nearby member shouts, his eyes nearly popping out of his head. Guild leader, look at them. They cleared the Hell level difficulty. The member screams. The shock ripples through the entire group instantly. The elite team members, who were in the middle of fighting their own boss, are completely stunned by the news. Their movements falter for a split second, a fatal mistake. The Berserk boss seizes the opening, instantly deleting several fragile classes. It then turns and crushes the warriors who were supposed to be tanking the damage. With the situation spiraling out of control, the entire team is wiped out. Back at the dungeon entrance, Yushin is livid, his face contorted as he grips a team member's face. Who told you to shout that loud? Guild leader, I'm sorry. Meanwhile, a notification chime sounds for our hero. He has slain the silver boss, Flame Demon Loran. He earns 0 experience, which makes him pout slightly. It seems experience gain is capped until he completes the novice trial and enters the main city. He stayed here partly for the first clear rewards, but also for a certain hidden golden treasure buried within the novice village. As the group's figures materialize at the dungeon entrance, he glances at the loot in his inventory. He decides to make a deal. He sells 1 golden piece and 4 silver pieces of equipment to Batian Dao, while keeping 2 specific items for himself. The first is the Flame Blood, a level 10 golden item. Its active skill, Flame Path, leaves a trail of fire wherever he moves for 10 seconds. This trail deals 50 points of burn damage per second to any enemy unfortunate enough to step on it. A very useful tool, indeed. The cooldown is 1 hour. The second item is the Hellstone Necklace, a golden grade piece that grants a massive 50-point boost to magic. It also increases resistance by 100 points and blocks 100 points of range damage until its fire ring shatters. Great God Shuangbiao, I truly cannot thank you enough. If we had been a moment later, the Yushin Guild would have snatched the first clear. Shuangbiao waves it off as a simple trade. After saying goodbye to Batian Dao and giving Yaneo a few instructions, he logs off for the day. Before leaving, he takes a quick look at the level rankings. He is firmly at the top, followed closely by Yaneo in second place. Having followed him through the dungeon, she gained a massive amount of experience and reached level 9. In third place is Yu Ying, who is now level 8. Taking off his helmet, he checks his phone to see his bank balance. When he sees those 7 digits staring back at him, a genuine smile finally appears. Without hesitation, he spends 990,000 to pre-order a high-end gaming pod online. It is a significant investment, to be sure. Unlike a standard helmet, the gaming pod allows for 2 extra hours of playtime. For most players, that just means a bit more experience. But for him, those 2 hours mean 2 more hours of stacking his talent. He couldn't afford it before, but now, he won't let the opportunity slip away. The delivery staff is remarkably efficient. Not long after he finishes his meal, they arrive at his door to begin the installation process. An hour later, the gaming pod is ready. With the superior equipment set up, he wastes no time and logs back into the world of the game. He heads straight to the village chief. "Ah, it's you," the old man says. Shuangbiao simply replies that he is ready for the novice trial. The chief asks what difficulty level he wishes to attempt. He explains that this trial is no small matter, as it will shape his entire future. The old man urges him to choose carefully. A bright red warning message flashes across the screen, looking quite ominous to any normal player. But Shuangbiao doesn't care about warnings. He focuses entirely on the selection panel and chooses the most brutal option available, Hell difficulty. At this level, monsters have 6,400% health and triple all attributes. "I choose Hell difficulty," he states firmly. The village chief's calm expression shifts instantly to one of shock. "Young man, I strongly advise you to reconsider this choice." Shuangbiao insists that his mind is made up. Seeing his determination, the chief stops arguing and simply whispers, "Good luck, child." The chief activates the teleportation. A pale blue light rises from beneath Shuangbiao's feet, and in the next second, he vanishes from the village. With a flash of light, he finds himself in a dimly lit underground plaza. The space is massive, roughly the size of 2 football fields. Standing at the very edge of the arena, a system notification rings out. It confirms that the player Shuangbiao is now beginning the Hell level trial. The announcement informs him that his opponent for this challenge is the Berserker, Growl. And so, the real test begins. As the system notification fades, the Berserker across from him snaps his eyes open, his blood-red pupils locking onto Shuangbiao with lethal intent. "Are you the challenger?" the warrior demands. This is Growl, a level 10 Berserker with a terrifying set of skills. His abilities include Berserk Rage, Demon God's Bloodlust, and Blood Stimulation. Even though Shuangbiao thought he was mentally prepared, seeing Growl's actual attributes makes him swallow hard. The stats are, to be perfectly honest, absolutely terrifying. He wonders if his plan will actually work. Even with his current strength, his heart is racing. Fortunately, he remembers a forum post from his past life. Someone had analyzed Growl's attributes and discovered a way to defeat him by exploiting the Berserker's lack of long-range attacks. The strategy is to kite him, and the most effective way to do that is to stay in the air, which is exactly why he needed the angel's will. While he stands there lost in thought, a blood-red sword wave surges toward his face. He snaps back to reality just in time. He narrowly dodges the strike, watching as the energy carves a massive fissure into the stone wall. That was a close call, to say the least. Looking up, we see Growl planting his great sword in front of him, his face twisted in fury. "How dare you lose focus before the great Growl?" Shuangbiao's expression turns solemn. He knows there is no more room for error in this fight. Suddenly, the phantom wings of the angels will manifest behind him, and his body rapidly ascends toward the ceiling of the underground plaza. By now, Growl is fully awake and charging toward his position, but Shuangbiao is already out of reach. With the help of the angel's will, he hovers in the air, creating a vertical gap of over 50 meters. He raises his hand and strikes. The damage numbers pop up, 30, 45, 8. Thanks to his tireless efforts, his passive talent has already stacked over 31,000 points. As his attacks rain down on Growl, he continues to draw his bow, creating a relentless barrage of strikes. However, Growl casually waves his sword, and the resulting sword chi blocks every single incoming hit. "Insect, is that all you have?" Shuangbiao doesn't let the taunt get to him and continues to fire, filling the air with a sky full of sword shadows. Yet again, Growl deflects them all with a simple swing. Show me what else you can do, little bug. Seeing that standard attacks are proving useless, he realizes it's time for a change in tactics and immediately activates his music skill. Activating Frenzy, his attack speed surges by 200% as he continues to fire. Growl holds his greatsword horizontally, blocking a massive barrage of sword arrows. However, some of the projectiles still find their mark and deal damage. Growl simply laughs, mocking the effort as if it were nothing more than an itch. Shuangbiao remains cold and silent, his hands moving so fast the bowstring becomes a blur, unleashing a dense rain of arrows upon his foe. Growl deflects the onslaught with a few casual swings, declaring that he is finished playing games. It is time for things to get serious. With a deafening roar, Growl activates his Berserk Rage skill. We see Shuangbiao's expression turn grim as the atmosphere in the plaza shifts. As Growl swings his blade, a massive wave of sword chi spans the entire underground plaza, surging directly toward our protagonist. He dodges just in time as the energy shatters the stone wall behind him. Deep down, he is shaken by the sheer destructive power of the attack. Growl asks if he understands true power now, following up with a continuous barrage of blood-red sword waves that fill the air. Shuangbiao flaps his wings frantically, dodging through the air like a startled bird trying to escape a lethal net of energy. Each wave that strikes the stone walls produces a thunderous boom, echoing through the chamber as he struggles to maintain his footing in the sky. Watching his opponent's desperate movements, Growl can't help but taunt him, asking the little bug if he's already reached his limit. Emerging from a cloud of debris, Shuangbiao calmly brushes the dust off his clothes and tells Growl that it is time to witness his true authority. Growl scoffs at what he considers nonsense, but then, the power of the moon goddess begins to manifest in the dark plaza. With a loud shout, a silver-white magic circle envelopes him, and the wings of the angels will fold inward, wrapping him in a cocoon of light. 2 seconds later, the light shatters into glowing particles. To be perfectly honest, the transformation is nothing short of breathtaking. He declares that the game officially begins now. This is the Lunar Goddess form, unlocked only by combining the musical longbow and the angel's will. This is his true trump card as a regressor, a power he has been saving for a moment exactly like this one. He calls upon the spirits of the moon, activating the exclusive skill Soul Breaker, which is only available in this divine state. The skill deals 200% true damage plus an additional eighth of the enemy's maximum health. A lunar blade streaks toward Growl like a comet. Growl hurriedly raises his great sword to defend himself, and the lunar blade collides with the heavy steel in a shower of sparks. A terrifying shockwave erupts from the impact, and as the smoke clears, we see Growl's health bar has been slashed by 3/4. Hovering in the air, Shuangbiao looks down at Growl, who is kneeling and gasping for breath, with a playful glint in his eyes. He asks what's wrong, mockingly wondering if the great Lord Growl is already reaching his limit, which, naturally, is quite the reversal. Growl snarls that while the bug has some skill, he shouldn't think for a moment that this is enough to defeat him. He roars that he is Growl the Berserker, and a mere insect sting won't be enough to bring him down so easily. As Growl speaks, his aura shifts, and we see Shuangbiao's expression turn serious as he senses a change in the air. A pillar of red light surges toward the ceiling. Shuangbiao draws his bow again, charging another lunar blade to strike while he can. When the light dissipates, a completely new version of Growl stands before us, a transformation he clearly didn't see coming. It turns out the boss has a second phase, triggered by his passive skill, Demon God's Blood Rage. Once Growl takes enough damage, he enters this demonic form. Just then, the arrow Shuangbiao fired closes in on its target. Growl slams his great sword into the ground, and a pillar of flame erupts instantly to meet the incoming attack. The lunar blade is deflected by the sheer force of the flames. Seeing this, our protagonist realizes the fight just got much harder. He decides to settle this with his next move, raising the musical longbow and pulling the string back to its absolute limit. He begins to chant, calling upon the spirits of the moon to manifest and take the form of a divine dragon. He commands the spirit to devour his enemy, releasing an arrow condensed from pure lunar energy that transforms into a soaring dragon. On the other side, Growl drops to one knee and begins reciting an ancient, dark incantation to his own deity. He pleads for the Father God to grant him the strength necessary to crush the nuisance before him. Growl heaves his greatsword upward, unleashing a blood-red wave of sword chi that tears through the ground as he swings forward. The red energy collides with the lunar dragon, and an energy storm immediately sweeps across the entire underground plaza. The dragon swallows the sword chi, turning into a red and white shockwave that fills the chamber with a thick blanket of dust. As the smoke clears, we see Growl collapsed on the ground, letting out a series of agonizing wails. It seems the battle has reached its conclusion, and Growl is certainly not enjoying the outcome. His health bar finally empties, and his body dissolves into points of light, leaving behind a crown shimmering with a 7-colored radiance. Shuang Biao descends from the air, and with a flash of light, his moon god state ends as he returns to his leather armor. Just as he is about to inspect his loot, a system announcement rings in his ears, broadcasting to the entire server. Player Shuang Biao is the first to clear the Hell-level newbie trial, earning the unique title, Star of Hope. The announcement repeats 3 times, instantly igniting a wave of shock and envy among the entire player base. The rewards are simply staggering, a choice of hidden classes, growth equipment, and even a selection of skills. Most players wouldn't even dare to dream of such prizes, leaving them wondering just how powerful Shuang Biao has become. Even the top-tier player Yushin looks pale. He begins to doubt if someone like this can truly be defeated. A notification informs Shuang Biao that because he cleared the Hell trial, his attribute points per level will increase by 400%. Furthermore, his reality projection rate has increased to 10%, a development that catches him completely off guard. He is stunned to see the projection feature activate so early. To be honest, this shouldn't be happening yet. As a regressor, no one understands the weight of projection better than he does, as in-game power eventually manifests in the real world. He remembers that in his past life, game monsters began appearing in reality as soon as the first player reached the projection threshold. He wonders if his early projection will accelerate the real-world chaos, but he knows he cannot change the past. Since he can't stop it, he must simply become stronger. He turns his attention back to the crown Growl dropped. It is the crown of the Titan God King, a level 0 growth item that starts at common rank with the skill Titan Star. It grants a 10% boost to both maximum health and recovery speed, with 4 more skills waiting to be unlocked. After reading the description, he feels a surge of excitement. Growth equipment is, after all, the rarest treasure of all. Without a moment's hesitation, Shuang Biao replaces the demon collar with the crown of the Titan God King, and his attributes soar. When he opens his character panel, the difference compared to his previous equipment is staggering, to say the least. His health has increased by nearly 1,000 points, and his defense has roughly doubled. He is becoming a fortress. At this stage, most players wouldn't even be able to scratch him. He quickly chooses to hide the crown's visual appearance. Once the gear is hidden, we see him teleport out of the trial grounds, returning to the familiar sights of the village. The first thing he notices is the village chief, whose eyes are nearly bulging out of his head. Shuang Biao simply smiles. The chief snaps out of his daze and looks at him with a complex gaze, admitting he never expected to see such a hero. He confesses that he had underestimated the young warrior. As he speaks, we see a flicker of something new in his eyes. It is a spark called hope. Seeing Shuang Biao's strength, the chief asks if he would be willing to help with a certain matter. A system chime rings out. Beginner Village 23333 is offering a mythic level chain quest called Heart Source of the Past. Shuang Biao is momentarily stunned. He remembers that in his past life, this specific mythic quest was claimed by a legendary player. That player was the only one to clear the Nightmare trial and eventually became the strongest powerhouse in Heart Source. According to the rumors, that man had to talk his way into getting this quest, yet here the chief is practically begging. It seems the difference between Hell and Nightmare difficulty is truly night and day. Naturally, he accepts the challenge. The village chief speaks again, his voice filled with relief, telling Shuang Biao that he knew he wasn't mistaken about him. He calls him a trustworthy man and begins to reveal the village's true history, which is far darker than it appears. Their original mission was to suppress a sleeping demon. To be honest, it's a heavy burden for such a small place. Deep underground, echoes have been heard for 1,000 years, and the strength of the seal has finally begun to wane. The demon is waking up and is on the verge of breaking free, which would mean certain doom for everyone nearby. The flame demon he fought earlier was actually just a byproduct, a creature born from the volcano being corrupted by the demon's breath. As the village chief continues his tale, a familiar system chime rings out in our ears. Beginner Village 23333 is calling. The chief is officially issuing the first part of a mythic level chain quest, the Sealed Demon. Do you accept? The prompt repeats, emphasizing the gravity of the situation. The village chief of 23,333 is offering a mythic level chain quest. The objective of the Sealed Demon is clear: defeat the entity and force it back into a deep slumber. To be honest, it sounds easier said than done. Shuang Biao doesn't hesitate for a second and accepts. The chief hands him a token, explaining it will guide him into the heart of the seal. A notification confirms he has received the sealing key. It is a unique quest item, and its description is quite specific. Once used at a designated spot within Village 23333, it opens the way to the sealed space. After bidding the chief farewell, he sets off. He heads toward the coordinates provided by the key. The village isn't large, so it only takes a few moments for him to reach the center. We see a weathered statue with an unrecognizable face standing there, surrounded by players busy setting up stalls to sell gear and materials. His arrival doesn't draw much attention from the crowd, but as he holds the key before the statue, a system prompt appears. The game confirms he has reached the target location and asks if he wishes to use the sealing key to enter. He selects yes. As the words leave his lips, a brilliant blue light envelopes his body. A second later, he vanishes from the spot entirely. Nearby players blink in confusion, wondering if that man just disappeared. One shrugs it off, thinking it's nothing strange. They assume he simply used a teleportation scroll. Meanwhile, in a flash of white light, Shuangbiao finds himself at the entrance of a dark tunnel. The walls are embedded with glowing stones, providing just enough faint light to keep the underground passage from being pitch black. The path leads downward, and the air begins to grow uncomfortably warm. After walking for some time, the space suddenly opens up. Imagine a massive underground plaza stretching out before you. Around its perimeter, a faint golden barrier of light separates the inside from the out. In the very center of the plaza sits a colossal cage. It is a grim sight, to say the least. Inside the cage, we see a thin, gaunt figure. 3 spears radiating a pale golden light are thrust through his body. Each spear has pierced through him, pinning the emaciated figure firmly to the ground. This, it seems, is the one who is sealed. Is this the sealed demon? At that moment, the gaunt figure seems to sense his presence and slowly lifts his head. Shuangbiao freezes for a moment upon seeing the creature's face. In his mind, a demon should be a terrifying beast with horns and claws, but the person before him possesses none of those demonic traits. He doesn't look like a monster at all, which is quite unexpected. This is clearly a human being. The figure speaks, his voice raspy, mocking how diligent the lapdogs have been for over 1,000 years. He sneers that they still haven't forgotten the orders left by their master. To be honest, he sounds more bitter than evil. While Shuangbiao stands there dazed, the man continues talking to himself, noting that he doesn't smell like those lapdogs at all. He realizes Shuangbiao is a new descendant. Yes, a descendant, not one of the servants he loathes. He repeats it as if trying to convince himself. A descendant has arrived, not a lapdog. A true descendant. He hadn't expected the Star people to welcome descendants once again. The word seems to carry a heavy weight for him. The man mutters, Lord Descendant, over and over, but these words send a massive shockwave through Shuangbiao's heart. He had heard the title Descendant countless times in his past life. It was a very specific way to address players. Only the natives of the Star Source continent, the Star Source people, use that term, which means, this man. He isn't a demon at all, but a Star Source human. But then, why would the village chief claim a demon was sealed here? Wait, could it be? Shuangbiao's mind races, digging through the dusty corners of his memories for a specific legend. He recalls a rumor about a stone tablet hidden in a secret realm, which recorded a pivotal moment from 10,000 years ago. It was an event that changed the fate of the entire Star Source continent, summarized by 8 chilling words. Alien invasion, racial extinction. Remembering the stories of the Star Source people from his past life, it all starts to click. They were usually encountered in secret realms or dungeons, often as lingering souls. In the outside world, they were a rarity. Every Star Source person players encountered did the same thing. They helped them. This was a well-known consensus among players. Even after monsters invaded reality, some Star Source people appeared to help humanity resist. As the players used to say, you can doubt an NPC, but you should never doubt a Star Source person. It seems the village chief's request was actually to kill a friendly Star Source ally. To be sure, we check his stats. The panel reveals him as Demon Lord Fanliner, a golden boss at level 10, possessing skills like Crimson Fire Embrace and Troll's Body. Before we can even finish reading the attributes, Fanliner speaks up, noting how pitiful it is that Shuangbiao is just a weak, base-class novice. He tells him he is far too weak. He demands that Shuangbiao find a stronger member of his race, as he doesn't talk to the weak. Shuangbiao pauses, realizing he's being looked down upon. With a cold sneer, he raises his hand toward Fanliner and lets loose. He fires a double heavy arrow, and the exaggerated damage causes Fanliner's eyes to nearly pop out of his head in shock. Without giving him a moment to recover, Shuangbiao activates Music Carnival and begins a frantic barrage of arrows right at Fanliner's face. By the time Fanliner snaps out of his initial daze, over a dozen wooden arrows are already sticking out of his face. Stop this at once, he cries. He shouts about how Shuangbiao dares to disrespect the great Archmage Fanliner. Little brother, please, stop shooting. Stop shooting. There isn't any more room on my face. Fanliner is practically losing his mind at this point. In all his long life, he has never seen a base-class novice deal this kind of terrifying damage. It's quite the sight, really. Seeing Fanliner's face covered in a dense thicket of wooden arrows, Shuangbiao finally feels he's vented enough of his frustration. Fine, speak up then, Shuangbiao says. I'm listening. Tell me what's going on. Fanliner, his voice trembling and sounding like he's on the verge of tears, asks for a moment to catch his breath. Heaven only knows how a dignified archmage ended up being tortured into such a pathetic state by a few wooden arrows. By now, his health bar has recovered to about 1/5. It was my mistake, he admits. I didn't realize you possessed such strength. He apologizes for his previous rudeness, but Shuangbiao cuts him off, demanding to know who is lying, the village chief or the Star Source people. Fanliner finally speaks clearly, telling the young man that his eyes are currently being clouded by the secret key. As long as you throw away that key, you will be able to see the truth. Hearing this, Shuangbiao begins to hesitate. With a quick motion, he tosses the secret key out of his inventory. As soon as the item hits the ground, Fanliner's attribute panel begins to shift. The transformation is immediate. He is now identified as Fanlaner, the Crimson Fire Archmage, a level 10 member of the Star Source Ancient race. His skills change to Crimson Fire Embrace, Star Source Ancient Tongue, and Fire Spirit Body. The stats remain the same, but the names tell a different story. This, we realize, is his true identity. Fanlaner notes that Shuang Biao has finally seen the truth, guessing that the one who gave him the key was a Guardian's descendant. The Archmage correctly assumes the village chief ordered his defeat. To be honest, it was a clever choice on the chief's part. He admits that with Shuang Biao's current strength, he truly could have been defeated. However, there is a catch to this arrangement. He explains that the chief and the descendant are not on the same side. Shuang Biao might not understand, but deep down, he actually does. Shuang Biao remarks that Fanlaner's people were once the masters of the Star Source continent, but they simply couldn't stop the invasion of another race. Fanlaner freezes, staring intently at the young man, as if trying to figure out how he could possibly know such ancient history. After a long silence, a sincere smile finally appears on his face. It seems his chance to return to the Star Source continent has arrived. Since Shuang Biao knows the history of the invaders, Fanlaner believes he knows what must be done. He makes a formal request. He asks Shuang Biao to restore the original glory of the Star Source continent. Suddenly, a notification pings. Archmage Fanlaner has issued a mythic grade chain quest. The quest is titled Restoring Star Source. Shuang Biao is stunned to see yet another mythic grade chain quest appearing before him. He had only ever seen quests of this caliber mentioned on the forums, yet here they are, appearing one after another. A perfectly ordinary Tuesday, indeed. He wonders if this is just the standard treatment for top-tier players. He asks if accepting this means he must abandon his previous mission. Theoretically, the answer is yes, but Fanlaner claims he can help him complete both at the same time. The method is quite simple. All Shuang Biao has to do is kill him. Yes, it really is that straightforward. As Fanlaner says this, a look of pure relief washes over his face, as if he were discussing something that had nothing to do with him at all. Shuang Biao is visibly moved and asks why he would suggest such a thing. Fanlaner whispers to himself, his smile fading into a look of deep remembrance. He explains that it is because of hope. After all these long years, Shuang Biao is the only one in whom he has seen a glimmer of it. Because of that hope, he is willing to give his own life to help Shuang Biao, asking only that when the young man has the power, he restores the entire Star Source continent. Shuang Biao watches Fanlaner in a long, heavy silence before finally giving a solemn nod. He gives his word, and Fanlaner offers a final word of thanks. As the conversation ends, a change begins to take place. A faint fire spirit suddenly drifts out from Fanlaner's body. This tiny flame passes through the cage and the pale gold barrier. And as Shuang Biao watches in surprise, it plunges directly into his chest. He has obtained Fanlaner's source fire. This grants him access to general and fire magic, along with 500 points of mana. To be honest, he is absolutely floored. A magic archer? It turns out Fanlaner has gifted him the ability to learn magic, which, for an archer, is a game changer. Even though it is limited to general and fire magic, it is more than enough. Fire magic is famous for its massive area of effect, which perfectly covers the archer's usual weakness in dealing wide-scale damage. Fanlaner has truly given him a magnificent gift. We can see how pleased he is, but Fanlaner urges him to act now, explaining that without his source fire, he cannot last much longer. Looking closely, we see that Fanlaner, who seemed energetic moments ago, has already become as withered as a dried husk. His attributes have plummeted. The once mighty Crimson Fire Archmage is now in a state of near death. His power faded. At level 10, Fanlaner's stats are now barely different from those of an ordinary level 10 wild monster. It is a tragic sight. It is clear that the old mage has truly reached the end of his rope. Seeing this, Shuang Biao doesn't hesitate. He raises his sword. With one strike, he ends Fanlaner's suffering. A notification pings. He has slain the Archmage and completed the mythic quest. The system announces the completion of Star Source Legacy, but Shuang Biao feels none of the usual joy that comes with a victory. He checks the details of the quest Fanlaner left him. The first step to restoring Star Source is to head to the Beluan Mountains. There, he must find a dark elf named Float. He knows the Beluan Mountains well. They lie to the southeast of Evernight City. Since Evernight is one of the 8 major capital cities, it seems he must head there first. After all, a journey must start somewhere. Once he leaves the beginner village, he can bind a capital city as his respawn point. He closes the quest and picks up the secret key. With Fanlaner gone, there is no reason to linger here. With a single thought, the secret key activates, whisking him away in an instant. We see him reappear exactly where it all began, standing before that nameless statue. It is finally time to turn in his quest. Returning to the village chief, Shuang Biao can't help but view the old man with a bit of suspicion now. However, the chief shows no sign of anything unusual. The chief praises him, calling him a powerful warrior for completing the mythic quest, Star Source Legacy. As a reward, he receives the Fountain of Holy Light, a sacred item that provides a massive boost to holy objects while weakening evil creatures. It seems like a useful tool indeed, but the moment he takes the fountain, he feels a sudden vibration from his soul-bound angel wings. We can see the wings reacting, absorbing the energy and evolving at an incredible speed. He can feel their power surging within him. By the time the Fountain of Holy Light is consumed, his 2 wings have remarkably grown into 4. To be honest, the transformation is stunning. His core abilities have effectively doubled from their original base. At this moment, the second phase of his Mythic Chain quest updates. The new objective for Star Source Legacy 2 is clear. He must travel to Holy Light City and find the High Priest, Olunbo. This priest will be the one to guide him through the next stage of his arduous journey. He checks his friend list, but Yunayo and Yuying are still offline. Since Yunayo was one of the 3 greatest healers in his past life, he doesn't mind offering her a little help along the way. As for Yuying, well, that kindness is mostly because the man is exceptionally quick at picking up loot. Efficiency has its own rewards, after all. Arriving at the beginner village teleportation circle, he selects his destination. As his figure begins to fade, the surrounding players watch in total awe. They realize it's the legendary Shuangbiao. Seeing him leave, they suddenly feel a rush of motivation to reach level 10 and see the capital cities for themselves. Some are even whispering about the specialized districts found in the big cities. Yes, including the more colorful ones, apparently. A system prompt appears. He is about to teleport to Evernight City, which will be bound as his new respawn point. He confirms the travel, and a second later, we find him standing in the teleportation plaza of Evernight City. Unlike the crowded beginner village, the vast expanse of Evernight City is eerily quiet and cold. It is a stark contrast to what he left behind. Aside from the occasional NPC guards patrolling the streets, the only others present are the few elite players who manage to arrive early. Passing by a few scattered residents of Evernight City, he soon arrives before the tallest building in sight, the Professionals Guild. This is the class advancement point every player must visit. Of course, he isn't here to change classes in the traditional sense. Since he holds a hidden class selection scroll, a common profession is out of the question. He is actually here to learn fire magic. He knows that many fire spells possess massive area of effect damage. With a few of those, stacking his talent will be much faster. He tells the instructor he wishes to learn magic. Upon seeing the Fire Cyclone spell, his eyes instantly light up with excitement. Fire magic is the gold standard for clearing mobs, and this spell is among the very best. It's perfect for his daily grinding needs. He decides right then and there to take it. However, when he tells the magic instructor his choice, the man looks at him with pure disdain. The instructor points out that he isn't even a mage, but an archer. He asks what an archer is doing in a place like this. He asks if Shuangbiao has even read the requirements. 300 points of mana. He tells him to leave and stop causing trouble. It seems these magic users can change their tempers faster than they turn the pages of a book. To be honest, it's a bit dramatic. As a regressor, he is well acquainted with the arrogance of these NPC magic lords. Instead of getting angry, he simply displays his mana stat. The instructor is stunned by the numbers. He stammers, unable to believe an archer could actually meet such a high mana requirement. Even so, the old man insists it's useless. He claims it is an iron rule that only the mage class can truly master magic. Shuangbiao tells him to cut the chatter and just hand over the skill. Seeing his persistence, the instructor has no choice but to comply. A system chime confirms he has learned Fire Cyclone. It is an instant cast spell that summons a massive vortex of flame 20 meters wide. It lasts for 10 seconds with a mere 3-second cooldown. He quickly calculates the potential of his current attack power. This cyclone will deal over 6,000 damage per second, totaling 65,000, and he can cast it every 3 seconds. Truly terrifying. With his new skill acquired and his game time running low, he decides to log off. As he sits up in his gaming pod, something feels different. His vision, which had blurred slightly over the years from too much gaming, has suddenly become incredibly sharp and clear. Even the distant buildings and advertisements outside his window are perfectly legible. Suddenly, he remembers his recent achievements. He realizes this is one of the rewards from the novice trial. 10% of his in-game power has already manifested in the real world. His current progress has far surpassed his previous life. He wonders just how much this early power projection will change the future. After moving around for a bit, his stomach begins to protest loudly. As he steps out, he sees his landlady, Li Na, coming downstairs. She's dressed in a light camisole and asks if he's heading out for a meal. He admits he just woke up from the game and is starving. She tells him to follow her for something delicious. Later, on the way home after their meal, we see a crowd gathered near the neighborhood entrance. Flashing police lights cut through the dark. Curious, he asks around and hears a terrifying rumor. A stray cat slit someone's throat. The victim died instantly. He wonders if this is a side effect of his own power projection as he carries Li Na's shopping bags to her door. After dropping off the clothes, he heads home. Even a shopping expert like Li Na feels a hint of exhaustion after a full day on her feet. After washing up, Li Na enters the living room wrapped in a bath towel, intending to organize the mountain of shopping bags. Suddenly, a strange sound from behind the curtains catches her attention. She wonders how a cat could have possibly gotten inside. The news about the killer stray cat flashes through her mind. Before she can even pull the curtain, a dark shadow lunges from the gap. It strikes with terrifying speed, catching her completely off guard. Fortunately, he intervenes. A punch fueled by his anger is, for a mere stray cat, an absolutely world-ending level of force. He doesn't even notice the system notification. He starts to ask if she's alright, but stops when Lina suddenly throws her arms around him. She is so shaken that she doesn't even notice her bath towel quietly slipping away. To be honest, it's quite a chaotic scene. His body goes stiff, but he eventually hugs the trembling Lina. Back at his place, she sits wrapped in a borrowed silk nightgown. She sips hot water slowly, still in shock. He tells her he'll find someone to fix her door tomorrow, as he acted a bit too forcefully. She insists it's fine, noting that the cat was like a wild tiger. If he hadn't been there, she might not have survived. In his previous life, the first real-world monster appearance happened elsewhere. This time, however, it happened right on his doorstep. He can't help but wonder if this shift occurred simply because he was the first person to project his game strength into reality. Considering the circumstances, he suggests that Lina take his bedroom for the night while he sleeps out in the living room. Once he sees Lina safely settled in the room, he heads straight for his gaming pod and lies down to begin his session. With a sudden flash of light, we see him reappear inside the professional guild of Eternal Night City, driven by an urgent need to grow stronger. The fastest way to gain power is through a class change, so he opens his hidden class selection scroll and begins scanning the options. His eyes drift over titles like Divine Sword of Light, Dark Knight Shrine, and Wild Hunter, until one particular hidden class catches his eye. The description for the Haotsong Shrine is fascinating. It is a class blessed by the heavens, where every attack is impossible to dodge. Combined with its long-range scouting abilities, it feels as though it was tailor-made for him. Without hesitation, he chooses to proceed. He officially selects the unique hidden class, Haotsong Shrine, and immediately notices a new set of requirements appearing in his quest log. The quest demands he slay 5 gold-rank bosses of his level, collect 1,000 azure petrel feathers, and clear the 10th floor of the hero tower. Looking at these 3 daunting conditions, he feels a slight twitch in his eyelid. To be honest, this is no small undertaking. After a bit of careful consideration, he decides that collecting the azure petrel feathers is likely the simplest task to tackle first. After stocking up on supplies in Eternal Night City, he picks a direction and heads out, intent on farming his talent stacks like a madman. His passive Fire Cyclone has a massive area of effect and a very short cooldown. Flying through the air, he drops one every 3 seconds. He circles the outskirts of Eternal Night City, relentlessly raining down fire, and before long, his passive stacks have surpassed 50,000. At that moment, he receives a message from Yun Nayo. Seeing that the siblings have completed the difficult trial, he sends his congratulations. He closes the chat, but a sudden system announcement rings in his ears, congratulating a player named Yu Shun Dang Tian. This player is the first in the entire server to complete a class change. He is stunned. The big guilds certainly move faster than expected. He checks the leaderboards and sees that his top position has been snatched away by Yu Shun Dang Tian, while others remain unevolved. The Yushin Guild has already claimed Holy Light City as their base and is now publicly inviting ambitious players to join their ranks. It seems the competitive landscape of the game is shifting rapidly, and our protagonist realizes he cannot afford to fall behind. As the news breaks, the world chat erupts in a frenzy of praise for Yu Shindang Tian, which only serves to inflate the ego of the newly promoted player. With a wide grin on his face, Yu Shindang Tian turns to his core guild members and asks if they have managed to contact the player known as Yijian Shuangbiao yet. The guild officer replies hesitantly, explaining that the man has blocked all friend requests, making it virtually impossible for them to reach him. Calling them useless for failing such a simple task, the guild leader orders his men to find Yijian Shuangbiao out in the world and extend an invitation immediately. He makes it clear that if the man refuses to join, he is to be blacklisted. To be honest, this guild leader doesn't handle rejection very well. He wants to see exactly how this lone player plans to compete against him. His subordinates quickly acknowledge the order and set out. Meanwhile, we return to our protagonist, who notes that his passive stacks have reached 150,000. He decides it is finally time to start his class quest. During his recent farming session, he finally managed to find 2 pieces of equipment he was missing, a helmet and some leg guards, starting with the Inkhorn Bell helmet. This silver-grade level 10 helmet is crafted from an antelope skull, and its passive ability provides a bit of extra protection for his head. Specifically, it reduces incoming headshot damage by 5%. The second piece is the Beowulf leather trousers, another silver-grade level 10 item. These leggings feature an active skill called Wolf Blade, which allows him to unleash a sharp energy wave dealing 300 points of damage. The attack has a range of 100 meters and a 10-second cooldown. When the system asks if he wants to hide the equipment's appearance, he doesn't hesitate. He chooses to hide the gear to keep a low profile, then checks his map and begins flying toward the eastern side of Eternal Night City. After traveling for some time, the blue horizon of the sea finally comes into view, and he spots the creatures he has been looking for. These are the Azure Petrels, level 30 monsters with skills like Swallow Dive and Ocean Surge. They are exactly what he needs for his quest. As level 30 glass cannon mobs, these birds don't have much health or defense. In any normal situation, their speed would be their greatest asset. But for him, their speed is completely irrelevant. He simply activates his Fire Cyclone and watches the sparks fly. Massive flocks of azure petrels perish in the flames before they can even launch an attack. However, the drop rate for their feathers is frustratingly low. He realizes he only gets one feather for every 10 birds he kills. Still, he persists, and another batch of birds falls from the sky. He collects the fallen feathers, bringing his total to 575. By now, the azure petrels in the immediate area have been completely cleared. The azure petrels have been completely cleared out, leaving him with nothing to do but wait for the system to respawn them. With time to kill, he prepares to head elsewhere. He intends to farm more passive stacks from other mobs, but suddenly, he spots a figure lying motionless in the thickets below. Naturally, curiosity gets the better of him. He descends and lands directly in front of the stranger, discovering a wounded soldier. The man's lower body is covered in blood, and his face is as pale as a sheet. It is clear to anyone watching that this man doesn't have much time left in this world. The dying soldier looks up, startled by the sudden appearance of a human adventurer. Once he realizes he is looking at a fellow human, the soldier visibly relaxes, letting out a ragged breath of relief. He has a desperate request for our protagonist. The soldier begs him to deliver a message, gasping that he won't make it back himself. Suddenly, a system notification pings. Eternal Night Scout Kamail has a quest. The quest is titled The Final Message. It seems Kamail has discovered something dire while scouting the nearby islands. The sea race is gathering its forces. They appear to be preparing an all-out assault on Eternal Night City. The objective is to deliver this warning to the city lord, who will surely provide a handsome reward. He pauses for a moment, the details of the quest triggering a memory from his past life. He recalls a massive event that once devastated Eternal Night City. The sea race invasion was a turning point in history. Realizing the gravity of the situation, he accepts the quest without a second thought. The soldier offers a weak word of thanks, urging the adventurer to hurry so the city can prepare its defenses. To be honest, time is of the essence here. With those final words, the soldier falls silent forever. Our protagonist picks up the body and begins the flight back toward Eternal Night City. He chooses not to use a town portal scroll, as doing so would prevent him from bringing the body back. Along the way, he continues using Fire Cyclone to stack his passive. By the time the city walls come into view, his passive stacks have reached a staggering 200,000. At the gates, the guards immediately block his path. They shout that the city lord's manor is off-limits to unauthorized personnel. He calmly sets the soldier's body down and explains the situation to the stern guards. He tells them this is Kamail, one of their own, and that he carries an urgent message that the city lord must hear immediately, which, as we know, is no exaggeration. Recognizing the fallen scout, the guards lead him inside. He soon finds himself standing in the vast, empty hall of the city lord's manor. On the throne sits a woman of striking presence and heroic bearing, watching him with a cool, measured gaze. She asks the adventurer what business brings him here. He is already quite familiar with this woman, the city lord Iris. Rumor has it she carries the blood of the royal family in her veins. In his previous life, after the game's reality merged with the real world, this city lord successfully transitioned into the physical realm and became a legendary figure. She once led a legion of soldiers to help humanity resist the monster invasions, and because of her stunning beauty and overwhelming strength, she earned the title of the Rose Queen among humans. He bows slightly, telling her that her soldier requested a message be delivered with his dying breath. He explains that the sea race is gathering its forces and Eternal Night City must prepare its defenses. She sighs, noting those stinking fish finally made their move. The city lord looks at him with newfound respect, thanking the adventurer on behalf of the entire city for his invaluable assistance. Iris presents him with his reward, a gleaming medal. A system notification chimes. He has obtained the Eternal Night Badge. His reputation increases by 50 points. Within the city's territory, this badge allows him to command a squad of up to 100 soldiers. Furthermore, it grants him immunity from the city's local laws. Deep down, he is ecstatic, as this is the legendary privilege item he remembered. Imagine being able to mobilize a team of level 60 NPCs at a moment's notice. To be honest, it is a game-changing advantage. With this badge, he is essentially a high-ranking noble within Eternal Night City. After bidding farewell to Iris, he heads toward the tallest structure in town. His destination is the Hero's Tower. We see that in each of the 8 major cities, a Hero's Tower stands as a testament to strength. Every player is granted 3 challenge attempts per day. However, if the challenge is successful, the attempt is not deducted from their daily limit. Having conquered the tower in his previous life, he feels quite confident in his current damage output. He soon arrives at the base of the spire. The tower pierces the very clouds, and a large crowd has already gathered at its entrance. Among the players, he spots a very familiar face. It is none other than Batian Dao, the vice president of the Batian Guild. It occurs to him, then, that in his past life, this guild was based here. At that moment, Dao notices him as well and calls out, surprised to see the famous Double Dark God in this part of the world. He explains he is here for the Hero's Tower, noting that so far, no one has managed to clear the second floor. The heroes there are said to be only level 11, but they are formidable. He simply nods, deciding to go in and see for himself. He pushes through the whispering crowd and enters the tower. Some onlookers scoff, claiming the double dart expert looks perfectly ordinary to them. They gossip that he is no different from them and that dreaming of the second floor is pure delusion. They wonder where he gets his confidence. They wait expectantly to see him fail. After a flash of light, he finds himself standing upon a massive, ancient arena. After a flash of light, he finds himself standing upon a massive, ancient arena. The stage is incredibly vast, stretching out as far as the eye can see. Directly across from him, a dark, imposing figure begins to materialize. The silhouette gradually reveals a warrior clad in deep cyan armor. An archaic helmet encases his entire face, leaving only a pair of cold, indifferent eyes visible. This is the Storm Warrior. He is a level 10 combatant, possessing lethal skills like Storm Charge, Gale Whirlwind, and the terrifying Death Rift Wind. As the first guardian of the hero's tower, our protagonist knows the Storm Warrior's attributes all too well. To be honest, he could fight him in his sleep. After a single glance, he loses all interest. He immediately draws his bow and fires. The Storm Warrior falls instantly, without even letting out a groan. Outside the hero's tower, the crowd is making bets. One player gambles that he won't last a minute, noting that an archer caught in close quarters is usually doomed. Everyone understands that basic logic, but then someone shouts for the crowd to look at the leaderboard. In just 3 seconds, the match was over. The crowd is stunned. The previous top challenger took 40 minutes to clear this. They wonder if the man inside is even human anymore. The name Double Dart now sits at the top, having cleared the first floor in a mere 13 seconds. Seeing this, the gathered players collectively lose their minds. It feels like a practical joke. The last person struggled for 40 minutes to defeat the first guardian, yet he finished the job with a single shot. The players cry out that there is no justice left in the world. Meanwhile, a notification congratulates him for defeating the guardian of the 10th floor. He obtained a skill enhancement scroll. As the 10th floor guardian finally began to dissipate, he was at last able to breathe a sigh of relief. He checks his class advancement requirements and sees only one final step remains. With that in mind, he has no desire to continue the challenge for now. With a simple thought, he exits the hero's tower. The moment he steps outside, he is met by the intense, burning gazes of countless players. The crowd erupts, calling him a god. One fan screams about how amazing he is, while others beg for just a moment of his time. The Double Dart God is suddenly the center of a chaotic storm of affection. People are shouting his name, desperate for his attention. The frenzied crowd tries to surge forward, but they are held back by members of the Batian Guild, led by Yidao. Our hero stands there, completely bewildered. Before he can process the situation, Yidao approaches alongside a young man. The stranger introduces himself as Xuanzhan, the president of the Batian Guild. Xuanzhan expresses his genuine pleasure in meeting him. Our hero, Zhou Daming, recalls his positive impression of this guild and reaches out to shake hands. As they shake hands, a woman with a striking presence approaches. She introduces herself as the vice president of the Qingwan Guild. Her name is Qingwan Yuyu, and she has come specifically to invite our hero to join their prestigious ranks. The Qingwan Guild is a powerhouse, ranked among the top 10 in the gaming world, though they exclusively recruit female players. Because of this policy, they sit at the 10th spot in overall power. Seeing her move, other guild leaders quickly follow suit. They all step forward to offer their friendship, but he politely declines every invitation, choosing only to add a few as contacts. However, we see him flatly reject 2 specific requests, one from the Yushin Guild and another from the Quangren Guild. To be honest, he has absolutely no good feelings toward these 2 groups, and for a very dark reason. In his past life, the leaders of these 2 guilds showed their true colors once the game began to bleed into reality. They chose to become the loyal lapdogs of the ancient evil gods, hunting down innocent players within the game itself. In the real world, they even helped the first wave of evil servants establish a foothold. He loathed them with every fiber of his being. Back then, he lacked the power to stop them. This time, however, he has no intention of letting them off so easily. Seeing the crowd surrounding him 3 layers deep, he realizes there is no walking away, so he uses angels will to fly over them. Only one condition remains for his class advancement. He must slay 5 gold rank bosses. Finding them in the wild could take forever. Fortunately, as a regressor, he knows a specific place near Eternal Night City that is practically crawling with gold rank bosses. It is also the perfect spot to stack his talents. After traveling for a while, a range of ominous black mountains appears before us. He isn't entirely sure of the Undead Crypt's exact location, so he spends some time flying through the peaks, searching for anything suspicious. A little later, his gaze suddenly locks onto a secluded valley in the distance. There, he spots a dark, gaping entrance. He approaches quickly, using a fire cyclone to clear out the restless undead guarding the valley before stepping into the darkness. The moment he enters, the familiar chime of a game notification rings in his ears, announcing his discovery of a special area. We see that the Undead Crypt's burial chamber is incredibly vast, stretching out to the size of 2 entire football fields. Inside, a dense crowd of skeletons huddles together. As he stands at the entrance, the distant undead don't seem to notice him yet. Looking across the chamber, we see nothing but these white jade skeletons, except for a single, massive shadow looming near the back stairs. Unsurprisingly, that dark figure is the gold rank boss of this floor. Without a moment's hesitation, he prepares to clear the room. He hurls a fire cyclone into the center of the skeletal horde. Instantly, the sound of shattering bone echoes through the chamber. Countless white jade skeletons are reduced to debris by the swirling flames. A moment later, the first floor is almost entirely silent. Not a single skeleton remains standing. It is only then that the massive shadow finally begins to move, its joints clicking and cracking. It steps over the carpet of broken bones, radiating an oppressive aura. As it approaches, we can finally see its true form. It is a giant skeleton wearing a crown of pure gold, the Skeleton King, a formidable gold rank boss. Our hero strikes with the precision of a sword master, his attack landing squarely on the Skeleton King's smooth forehead. Its health drops visibly. Even the Skeleton King seems stunned for a moment. It touches its own polished skull, seemingly confused by the sudden damage. It can't understand how a simple-looking weapon just shaved off a tenth of its life. However, one thing is becoming very clear. This human is not to be trifled with. With a silent roar, the Skeleton King raises a massive, rusted iron blade and swings it toward him. He continues to fire rapidly, while mentally commanding angels will to lift him into the air, safely out of the boss's reach. He becomes a relentless machine, raining down attacks while effortlessly dodging every strike the Skeleton King attempts. Under this overwhelming pressure, the Skeleton King lasts less than 15 seconds before collapsing in defeat. Yes, it took less than 15 seconds for the boss to fall. Immediately, a server-wide announcement begins to chime. The player Yijian Shuangbiao has achieved the world's first gold rank kill, a feat that will be etched into the history of the Star Source continent. With the Skeleton King defeated, the passage to the next floor glows brightly. He doesn't linger and heads straight down. Meanwhile, in the deepest part of the undead crypt, a small secret chamber is lit only by the flickering glow of dim candles. Two figures remain hidden in the shadows of the corners, one of them whispering that they understand the situation perfectly. The figure declares that in 7 days, he will dispatch his servants to march upon the city of Evernight. Once the city falls, 80% of Evernight's population will belong to him, a grim price for victory. The city itself and the surrounding lands will be theirs to keep, a fair trade, in their eyes at least. However, the other figure notes that their leader has specifically demanded that City Master Iris be spared. He is warned not to touch her. He simply scoffs, claiming he has no interest in the living anyway. Suddenly, his form trembles as he looks toward the ceiling of the secret chamber. A small insect has intruded. The candlelight flickers violently, and in the blink of an eye, one of the shadows has vanished completely. Meanwhile, on the 5th floor, Yijian fires a final arrow to topple an undead knight and exhales in relief. The 3 job advancement conditions are finally met. He pulls out the scroll, which now glows with completion. Without a moment's hesitation, he activates the scroll. A chime echoes as the power of the class transfer begins. Congratulations are in order. He has successfully become the unique hidden class, the Divine Archer of Haotsong. He immediately learns 3 powerful skills: Eye of Haotsong, Law of Pale Thunder, and the Heaven-Piercing Sword. He knew hidden classes were strong, but this is absurd. 1 level up for him equals 12 for anyone else. This isn't just power, it's a defiance of the world's laws. Beyond the stat points, the new skills are breathtaking. He is particularly delighted by the first skill, Eye of Haotsong, which feels as though it were custom-made for him. His greatest concern wasn't his range, but the limits of his own vision. With this new eye, that limit is gone. Now, he can use the Eye of Haotsong to illuminate any target area, granting him perfect vision of his prey. He can now execute precision strikes regardless of distance. Whether basic attacks or skills, his targets cannot hide. He feels like a living, breathing intercontinental missile. But just as he is savoring his newfound power, a raspy, chilling voice suddenly whispers directly into his ear, shattering the silence of the crypt. The voice sneers, remarking that it had expected some formidable figure to have broken in, but instead, it is merely a low-level lackey who has only completed his first job advancement. As the words fade, we see a figure shrouded entirely in black robes appearing at the entrance to the next floor. Yijian tenses, his gaze falling upon the name above the stranger's head, Lich Glock, a diamond tier boss. His level, health, mana, and attack power, as well as his defense and resistances, are all hidden behind a string of question marks that make Yijian's skin crawl. In Star Source, any target more than 30 levels above the player shows as a mystery. Seeing nothing but question marks means this is at least a level 40 monster, if not higher. However, the name itself catches his attention. Lich Glock, a lich? Could it be? He remembers now. This creature had been hiding here all along. The name Lich Glock was far from unfamiliar to those around Evernight City in his past life. Countless players and NPCs remembered him well. Glock's most terrifying trait was the Undead Legion he commanded. Among the forces that once besieged Evernight, there was the army led by this very lich. If Iris hadn't acted decisively to slay Glock back then, Evernight might have fallen under the weight of that dual assault. Now, with the enemy standing right before him, Aegeon decides to protect Everknight's future by immediately using a town portal scroll. It's no joke, if Glock were 20 kilometers away, Aegeon wouldn't mind sending a few arrows his way to loosen his bones. But at a distance of barely 200 meters, he doesn't dare trade blows with a powerful lich. To be honest, that would be suicide. The light beginning to glow around Aegeon's body catches Glock off guard for a moment, but the lich quickly realizes what is happening. He snarls, asking if Aegeon thinks his domain is some kind of playground. Glock raises his hand to launch a devastating spell, but a mage's casting time is far too long compared to Aegeon's instant cast abilities. The lich screams in fury, calling him a wretched insect. He vows that once he finds him, he will ensure Aegeon's soul endures 10,000 years of torment. By then, however, Aegeon's form has already materialized within the teleportation circle of Evernight City. This encounter reminds him that playing without control skills is far too dangerous. He then pulls out an item he specifically saved for after his job change. He pulls out a skill selection book. Upon using it, a prompt informs him that he may choose one professional skill from a specific list. The first option is the Triple Spirit Sword, which splits a single shot into 3, dealing 150% damage to all enemies. Another option is Summoning the Heavenly General, which allows him to call forth a divine warrior in the name of the heavens. This guardian would stand by his side in battle. Each skill presented to him boasts incredibly high stats and almost exaggerated effects. For a moment, Aegeon finds it difficult to choose, but he ultimately settles on a control skill, the Crouch of the Divine Deer. This active, instant cast ability condenses space to suppress all objects within a target area for 5 seconds. It costs 400 mana with a 30-minute cooldown. Having made his choice, he immediately prepares to enhance the skill. He uses 3 skill enhancement scrolls on the Crouch of the Divine Deer, exhausting his supply to push the ability to its limit. As the scrolls vanish, the description of the Divine Deer's power begins to shift and evolve before our eyes. The space condensation now suppresses all targets for 8 seconds, with the cooldown reduced to a mere 15 minutes. After the enhancement, both the duration and the recovery time have seen significant improvements. To be honest, every second counts. He notes that those extra 3 seconds are exactly what he needs to fire off a heavenly arrow. Suddenly, a friend notification flashes. It is a message from Yao Yao. She frantically explains that her brother has discovered a silver tier boss out in the wild. "Come quickly, great god," her brother shouted, having discovered a silver boss out in the wild. He urged him to hurry, and all because of what had happened earlier. However, the siblings haven't been shamelessly asking for carries. Instead, they've been leveling up on their own in the wilderness. While hunting, they happen to stumble upon a silver boss wandering the fields. One has to admit, their luck is quite remarkable. Yao Yao urges him to hurry, fearing that other players who have spotted the creature might try to steal the kill. Aegeon doesn't reply immediately. Instead, he checks the coordinates on his map and realizes the location is within his firing range. Relieved, he tells her not to panic. He asks her to send over the boss's attributes and invites them to join his party. As soon as the party request is sent, Yun Nayo immediately forwards the boss's attribute panel. It is the Molan King, a silver tier boss at level 12. Its skills include Molan Sword Tower, Berserk Charge, and Spirit Armor Protection. We see Aegeon click to accept the party invitation sent by Yun Nayo. He tells them to get ready to grab the loot the moment the boss dies. "Great God, are you on your way?" she asks, looking around for him. She lifts her head, her bright eyes scanning the surroundings, only to find a crowd of other players slowly closing in. "I'm not coming over," he replies, "but I can still kill this boss." Seeing this response, Yun Nayo feels as though her brain has simply stopped working. To be honest, it's a confusing statement. What does he mean by saying he isn't coming but can still kill it? Is this boss supposed to be defeated by the power of his mind alone? While Yun Nayo is lost in her confusion, her brother Yuying walks over to her side. He taps her shoulder and asks, "Yao Yao, is the great god coming? More and more players are gathering around us." She tells him that the great god said he isn't coming, but he can still kill the boss, and that they should just be ready to pick up the equipment. What? If he doesn't come, how are we supposed to fight? Just as he says this, several players approach the two of them. "Hey friends, we all found this boss together. Why don't we team up? If we wait for the guilds to arrive, the 3 of us won't get a single piece of it." As they speak, their eyes drift toward Yun Nayo's face and figure, unable to hide their blatant admiration. Yuying, with a cold expression, pulls his sister behind him to protect her. "Sorry, but we can handle this boss ourselves. Our teammate is already on his way," he adds. One of the men lets out a mocking laugh. "That's hilarious, buddy. That old excuse is way out of date. You just want to hog the boss and sell the kill to one of the big guilds, don't you? There's no need to act tough. Since we all saw it, we should all share it, right?" Yuying stands his ground, repeating that they can handle it alone. Seeing his stubborn attitude, the expressions of the other players turn cold. "We were being kind enough to offer a share, and you treat us like fools? You say you can kill it? Fine, let's see you try. That thing is the Molan King. Do you really think solo players like you can even touch it? Can you even break its defense?" the leader asks, pointing at the boss. Little do they know, a streak of light is already screaming across the distant horizon, aiming with lethal precision at the Molan King. An absurdly high damage number floats above the Molan King's head, and its health bar vanishes into nothingness in a single instant. The player who had been pointing stands there in a daze, wondering if his finger had suddenly become a lethal weapon. Yes, he actually thought he'd one-shot the boss himself. We see Yuying move like a shadow, and the glowing loot on the ground disappears in a flash, including a specific piece that radiates a brilliant golden light. It's a sight that makes the surrounding players' eyes nearly pop out of their heads. Since Yuying can pick up the items, it proves his teammate really did the killing. And that gold equipment? It's legendary. At this stage, the auction house hasn't seen a single gold tier item. This is likely the very first, making its value truly immeasurable. Stop right there. Almost instinctively, the crowd closes in on Yuying. Leave that gold equipment behind right now, they shout, or you aren't going anywhere. Yes, hand it over, or you'll regret it. Don't blame us for getting violent. Leave that gold item behind, or we won't let you. Leave this spot. That's right. Hand it over, or don't blame us for what happens next. Their threats cause Yuying's expression to darken, while Yun Nayo hides behind him. She quickly sends a message to their mysterious benefactor. She tells him they are surrounded and being forced to hand over the gold item, even though her brother already listed it for auction. In truth, he already knows exactly what is happening. High in the blue sky, a nearly transparent eye floats silently, blending perfectly with the atmosphere. This is the Eye of the Void, a manifestation of his passive ability. Through this celestial gaze, the entire scene is crystal clear. Even though the siblings are cornered, he doesn't seem worried at all. He simply sends a short reply saying it's fine. Then, with a mere thought, a bolt of lightning falls from the heavens. It strikes the very center of the crowd where the siblings are standing, sending arcs of electricity dancing in every direction. The two of them squeeze their eyes shut, bracing for the end, but the expected pain never comes. Instead, it's the surrounding players who let out a chorus of screams. When the siblings finally open their eyes, the crowd has simply vanished. All that remains is a field of glowing equipment scattered across the ground. Amidst their shock, Yun Nayo suddenly lets out a cry. Brother, the great god told us to pick up all the equipment on the ground and sell it. Yun Nayo cries out. He can see us. Yuying stands there, completely stunned. First, a single arrow one-shots a boss, and now he's summoning heavenly lightning? He can't help but wonder if they are even playing the same game. Elsewhere, we meet the formidable Iris. She is dressed in an elegant gown, which perfectly accentuates her fiery figure and radiates an incredible charm. Combined with her cold, regal, queen-like expression, she inspires a strange urge in others to try and conquer her. But our protagonist keeps a clear head. He knows she is dangerous. She is a powerhouse nearing the 4th rank, where a single mistake means death. I heard you were looking for me, he says, greeting her. City Lord Iris, while I was training in the Undead Mountains, I discovered a hidden crypt. After venturing deep into the cave, he recounts his entire experience in the Undead Crypt to Iris, including how he slayed a level 30 gold boss. He hides nothing. I knew there was a lich in those mountains, Iris replies calmly. But for you to actually kill a Death Knight under that lich's command, are you certain you aren't trying to deceive me? If the City Lord doesn't believe me, I can demonstrate my power right here. Iris simply turns around and says, follow me. The two of them walk through the main hall of the City Lord's mansion and soon arrive at the private martial training grounds. In the vast arena, rows of training dummies stand neatly on the western plaza. Those dummies can withstand attacks from 3rd-rank professionals, she notes. You can use your skills without holding back. A 3rd-rank professional is level 60 or higher, far beyond his current level. With his current stats, he truly cannot destroy these dummies, but giving Iris a little shock is well within his reach. Without a word, he draws his music longbow and begins to charge his power. Since this is a performance, he naturally brings out his strongest attack, Heaven's Sword. As the energy builds, a flicker of genuine surprise crosses Iris's eyes. With her strength, she can sense the terrifying destructive power contained within his strike. The arrow sword flies out, trailing a brilliant blue light, dealing over 12 million damage. Iris's hand, hidden beneath the folds of her gown, trembles slightly. A notification chimes. Your favorability with City Lord Iris has increased by 20. His current favorability is now 30. The sudden system prompt catches him off guard, as favorability is a mechanic usually reserved for NPCs and players. This value clearly shows that his performance earned Iris's approval, sparking a hint of genuine favor. After all, the strong only truly respect other powerhouses. At this moment, Iris is undoubtedly shaken. How could someone at the start of their 1st rank possess destructive power comparable to the late stages of the 3rd rank? She wonders if this is the true potential of a descendant. City Lord, he begins, what I just showed you is my strongest single target attack. Now, I shall demonstrate my area of effect capabilities. Lightning come. As his hand drops, a bolt of lightning as thick as a bowl crashes down from the sky. A dense cloud of damage numbers rises from the training dummies, leaving Iris even more overwhelmed by what she is witnessing. A chime rings out. City Lord Iris's favorability has increased by 10, reaching 40. Your strength, she says, has my recognition. I have a recommendation for a place that will allow your power to grow rapidly. His eyes light up. A hidden quest, one that practically no one has ever managed to obtain from her. Respected City Lord, I look forward to seeing this place. Do not call me City Lord, she interrupts. From now on, call me Iris. Very well, Iris. She lets out a soft, fleeting smile, and for a brief second, his heart betrays him with a sudden flutter. He thinks to himself that this NPC is designed far too realistically. He nearly lost his composure. Sensing his slight awkwardness, Iris doesn't take offense. I want to recommend you to the Empire's Royal Academy. However, before that, you must obtain a specific item as proof for admission. Please tell me, he asks. What is this item? The Star of Hope. Only the most outstanding newcomers have the chance to enter the Royal Academy. Normally, back in the starting lands, you descendants had a chance to earn that title, but the difficulty was immense. Now, if only you could. Iris suddenly freezes. Right before her eyes, he pulls out the Star of Hope title he earned after clearing the Hell level trial. This is the Star of Hope, isn't it? I cleared the highest difficulty trial back in the village. You actually obtained this in the starting lands? Iris is at a complete loss for words, her composure finally breaking. The rapid rise and fall of her chest betrays her shock. He adds, but if I go this time, I'll be representing Eternal Night City, right? He suggests that as the city lord, she really ought to reward him with something nice. Iris is momentarily stunned by his boldness. She realizes this was the true reason he was showing off his power. Tell me then, she says, what is it you want? He asks if she has a level 30 gold equipment set lying around. A gold set. I have one, she admits. But could you even wear it? All gear for you descendants requires your strength to meet the standard first. Giving it to you now would be useless. He tells her not to worry. She just needs to have it ready, and he'll go level up immediately. She tells him to return for the set when he's ready for his second job advancement. With the gear secured and admission settled, his next goal is clear, a frantic grind to hit level 30 within a single day. A modest goal, naturally. Emerging from the gaming pod, he heads upstairs to find Li Na. He knocks twice, and she opens the door quickly. It's me, Sister Na. She teases him for finally remembering her, though she wonders why he's visiting so late at night. She suspects he might be up to no good. He frowns at Li Na, noticing her gaze becoming increasingly shy and indignant. Her face begins to redden as he says he has something to tell her. She gives him a look and turns back into the living room. As she settles onto the sofa, he finally notices she's wearing a silk nightgown. The soft fabric hangs loosely, yet it manages to accentuate her figure in a rather distracting way. He averts his eyes, follows her to the sofa, and waits for her to speak. Well, what business do you have with me this late? He looks at her, and her face only grows more flushed. Her eyes hold a hint of expectation as he finally speaks. Sister Na, let's play the game together. Just give me your game ID so I can find you. She can't believe it. He had her feeling nervous all evening just for this. And so, we return to the game world. The very first thing he does upon logging back in is open his friend list. He enters the name, Lao Zishu Daoshan. To be honest, he can't understand why she would choose such a bizarre handle. It doesn't suit her at all. He sends the request, and Li Na accepts it almost instantly. She is clearly waiting. A message pops up immediately. You're actually the famous double standard himself? He grins, asking if she's surprised. She scolds him, unable to believe he kept such a massive secret from her. Reading her message, he feels a bit guilty and quickly changes the subject. He tells her he's coming over to help her level up right now. Li Na doesn't press the issue and quickly sends her coordinates, mentioning a friend is with her. Checking the location, we see that Li Na is actually in Holy Light City. This is perfect, as it gives him a chance to finally pick up a certain legendary quest. Meanwhile, at a leveling spot outside Holy Light City, Li Na ignores her friend's protests and plops down onto the grass to rest. She lies back comfortably, wearing a set of worn-out armor that leaves her midriff and arms exposed to the open air. The armor fits her tightly, accentuating her curves in a way that earns her a playful eye roll from the woman standing beside her. Her friend, Zhao Yu, points out that her stomach is practically showing. Li Na just tells her not to worry about it. Zhao Yu tries to pull Li Na's armor down a bit for modesty. She is a mage, dressed in the light gray robes typical of her class. Though the oversized robes completely envelop her, one can still tell that her figure is every bit as impressive as Li Na's. Li Na groans, teasing Zhao Yu for being more of a nag than her own mother. She insists that everything will be fine. She promises that once her friend arrives, they'll both be able to level up while barely lifting a finger. Zhao Yu is skeptical of this mysterious friend. Li Na assures her he'll be there any second. But as they chat, a group of players begins to approach them with rather suspicious looks. The group circles around them, their intentions clearly less than honorable. Li Na frowns, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. She sits up and glares coldly at the intruders. The leader, a scrawny young man, looks at the two women with a greasy smile. He asks if it's just the two of them leveling out here and suggests they join his party instead. He boasts that they are members of the God Guild, though a flicker of greed is hidden deep within his eyes. The man, Wang Hao, feels like he's hit the jackpot today. He never expected to run into such high-quality female players while out with his guild. He stares at the female warrior on the grass, admiring her looks and her long legs. To be honest, his gaze is far from professional. He decides the mage isn't bad either. Despite the robes, Wang Hao fancies himself an expert at spotting a hidden gem. His greed is turning into lust. Li Na and Zhao Yu see right through him, their faces twisting with undisguised disgust as they tell him they have no interest in joining. The group doesn't let them leave so easily, blocking their path as the leader tells them not to be in such a hurry. He insists there's no need for such coldness among fellow players. Any other woman would have likely agreed by now, as leveling alone is truly exhausting. Getting hit by monsters is painful, after all. But Li Na and Zhao Yu aren't interested in his offer. Instead, Li Na simply snaps at them. She tells them to get lost, but the leader just laughs, calling her feisty. He gives her a choice: join them for a session, or die and be sent back to the city. Just then, a figure suddenly descends from the sky, landing perfectly right in front of Li Na. Li Na's eyes light up the moment she sees him. She tells him he finally made it, and he turns back toward her with a grin. He remarks that arriving early is good, but arriving at the perfect moment to swat these flies is even better. His tone is incredibly arrogant, showing absolutely no respect for Wang Hao or his men. Naturally, the group glares at him in fury. Wang Hao demands to know who he is and how he dares interfere with the God Guild. His lackeys urge him to just kill the newcomer. They claim no one in Holy Light City dares provoke them. Our protagonist, however, is already bored and doesn't even bother with a reply. With a casual wave of his hand, a thick bolt of lightning crashes down into the center of the group, exploding into a storm of jagged rocks. A series of staggering damage numbers rises above their heads. They only have time to hear the roar of the thunder before collapsing, unable to even scream. In an instant, his name turns a deep crimson. A notification rings out. Wang Hao and his men have been slain by the player Double Mark. Emerging from the respawn point in Holy Light City, Wang Hao's expression is a sight to behold. He wonders how Double Mark could possibly be here. He thought the man was supposed to be in Eternal Night City. Countless questions race through his mind, but he quickly remembers his guild leader's orders. The instruction was clear: if anyone spots Double Mark, they must report it immediately. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Wang Hao hurriedly opens his friend list to message his leader, telling him that Double Mark has arrived in Holy Light City. At that moment, the leader of the God Guild is out in the wild with his elite team. The news instantly kills his interest in hunting monsters. Double Mark. He repeats the name, turning to his guild members and ordering all core personnel to be summoned immediately. He tells them to gather outside the south gate of Holy Light City. The hunt, it seems, is about to begin. The order is given to summon every core member of the guild and have them gather outside the south gate of Holy Light City. The guild leader's command spreads like wildfire, and soon, the entirety of Holy Light City begins to buzz with sudden activity. Large groups of players from the God Guild stream toward the south, drawing curious stares from everyone they pass along the way. People wonder what's happening, whispering that the guild leader has finally found Double Mark's trail and is moving in for the kill. They ask if this is the same level 30 powerhouse everyone has been talking about. Yes, it is indeed him. Some wonder what the guild leader is thinking. After all, killing someone at level 30 is no simple task. Meanwhile, at the south gate, the leader, Yushin, looks over his core members with a cold expression, ordering all thieves and hunters to be deployed immediately. He demands Double Mark's exact coordinates within 30 minutes. To be honest, his patience seems to be wearing quite thin. Elsewhere, after our protagonist casually wipes out Wang Hao's group, Li Na begins peppering him with an endless stream of questions. She wants to know if he has a hidden class and why he's so much stronger than the ones on the forums. He remains silent, much to her annoyance. He feels his head spinning, nearly drowning in the sea of her curiosity. It's a bit overwhelming, to say the least. He suggests they start moving first, promising to answer her questions one by one as they travel. Hearing this, Li Na finally relents. She asks where they're going to level up, then suddenly remembers to introduce her best friend, Zhao Yu, describing her as both beautiful and sweet. Li Na pulls Zhao Yu forward and gives him a playful wink. Poor Zhao Yu's face turns bright red from the sudden embarrassment. She playfully tries to swat at Li Na, telling her to stop teasing, while Li Na just laughs and tells her not to be so angry. He remembers Zhao Yu from his past life. Li Na had mentioned her often. Sadly, she had died early on during the monster invasion. Li Na had cried for a long time back then, so it's heartening to see her friend alive and well now. We return to the present, where he notes that the monsters near Holy Light City are too low level. He opens the map and points toward a distant, unexplored black region. Li Na and Zhao Yu look at the map in disbelief, realizing it would take half a day just to walk that far. But then, the angel wings on his back suddenly unfurl. He calmly tells them that he'll simply fly them there himself. With a sudden flash of light and a confident grin, he reaches out to scoop both women up by their waists and knees, suddenly taking flight. The two women let out startled screams, instinctively clinging to him as they soar high above, following the map's guidance across vast leveling zones. When they finally land, and Li Na and Zhao Yu step down, they both freeze in disbelief at the sight of the monsters before them, evil cultists. These are level 45 creatures. He calmly tells them that from now on, their only job is to help him pick up the loot. Without another word, he raises his hand and summons a fire cyclone. As the massive, roaring red vortex rises within the enemy camp, Li Na finally snaps out of her daze, staring at him in utter shock and jokingly asking if he's using some kind of cheat code. A notification chimes. His level has reached 30, granting him a boost to all attributes and 5 free attribute points. As that sound echoes in the girl's ears, Li Na begins to tremble with pure excitement, while Zhao Yu beside her nods frantically in agreement. One can see her heart racing from the sheer thrill of it all. Meanwhile, our protagonist remains perfectly calm, as if this were expected. He notes that further leveling requires a second-class advancement, but he advises Li Na to wait a few days so he can find her a hidden class. The mention of a hidden class sends Li Na into a frenzy of joy, and she suddenly throws herself onto him in a tight embrace. She tells him he's the best, claiming all those years she spent looking after him have finally paid off, before giving him a quick kiss on the cheek. Zhao Yu watches the two of them with wide eyes, playfully complaining about being forced to watch their public display of affection. Since he still has business back in Holy Light City, he decides to fly back alone while Li Na and Zhao Yu use their town portal scrolls. As he approaches the outskirts of the city, he quickly notices a massive gathering of players below, and, out of curiosity, he decides to fly down and see what the commotion is about. In the center of the crowd, Yushin is currently throwing a massive tantrum. He screams that they are all useless, pointing out that over 3,000 thieves and hunters have failed in their task. He can't believe they still haven't found a single trace of Double Mark. Facing Yoshin's fury, the core members don't dare to utter a single word. Suddenly, Wang Hao feels a chill down his spine and looks up, shouting that someone is above them. Wang Hao stares in total confusion at the figure descending from the sky, and the rest of the God Guild members look up in shock as well. Yoshin's expression shifts instantly as he spots the figure, and he immediately orders everyone to prepare for Double Mark's arrival. He commands them to strike on his signal, and his orders are quickly relayed through the ranks of the gathered players. Over 10,000 players outside the South Gate look up in unison, while our protagonist finally sees their guild tags clearly. Without exception, every name begins with Yushin. It seems this guild is determined to hunt him down in the open wilderness. He decides it is time to give Yushin a little shock, lowering his altitude to hover directly above the guild leader. Yoshin's face turns grim. To him, this hovering presence is a blatant display of disdain and a personal insult. He loses his patience entirely and screams the order for everyone to kill the intruder on sight. At his command, the guild's ranged classes, who were already poised and waiting, unleash a torrent of skills toward the sky. Every player capable of a long-range attack joins the fray, but facing thousands of incoming projectiles, he only smiles with contempt. He simply allows the attacks to rain down upon him. In midair, the overlapping skills create a series of deafening explosions. Nearby spectators watch with wide eyes, certain that even the legendary Double Mark couldn't possibly survive such a concentrated barrage. Yushin mocks him, shouting that this is what happens when one dares to look down on the power of the Yushin Guild. He laughs like a madman, convinced he has finally won. To be honest, his expression is becoming a bit distorted by his own ego. However, his triumph is short-lived, as the smoke and fire from the aerial explosions begin to dissipate. Our protagonist emerges before the crowd, appearing completely unscathed as if the massive attack had been nothing more than a breeze. He calmly remarks that it is now his turn, raising a hand to summon a fire cyclone into the densest part of the crowd. As a sea of damage numbers rises, the players in that zone are instantly vaporized into flashes of white light. Yushin stares so hard his eyes nearly pop out of his head, unable to fathom how anyone could deal such absurd damage. The guild managers continue to bark orders, assuming he must be using a high-level shield skill to stay airborne. They tell themselves that every shield has a limit, and if they just keep attacking, they will eventually break through. Under the frantic direction of the guild management, another dazzling round of attacks is unleashed toward the sky, fueled by the desperate hope that they can eventually bring him down. This time, however, our protagonist doesn't simply stand there to take the hit. He beats his angel wings and soars even higher into the clouds. At the same time, he drops another fire cyclone. With a 3-second cooldown, this is currently his most efficient tool for direct area of effect damage. In a large-scale team battle like this, the effect is truly devastating, and we see hundreds more players instantly perish beneath the swirling flames. He then notices the guild managers who are busy shouting orders and immediately activates his Azure Thunder skill, calling down bolts of lightning from above. The group of commanding officers is vaporized in an instant, leaving behind a literal field of dropped equipment. Watching this, Yushin finally begins to realize something is very wrong. It dawns on him that Double Mark's damage and defense are on a level far beyond any ordinary player. To be honest, he should have realized this much sooner. He tells himself that if this continues, he will be the next one to die. Deep down, he knows he must leave immediately. The moment this thought takes hold, Yushin ignores his remaining guild members and secretly crushes a return scroll to flee the battlefield. He teleports directly back into the safety of Holy Light City, but our protagonist notices his cowardly escape and merely offers a cold smile. He activates the Eye of the Vault, locking onto the coordinates of the Holy Light City teleport point. He wonders if Yushin really thought he could just walk away. He fires a single arrow toward the heavens, and we watch as a streak of light suddenly vanishes into the distance toward the city. Meanwhile, back at the teleport point, Yushin looks pale and shaken. The managers who had previously died and respawned quickly gather around him. They anxiously ask what their next move should be, but just as Yushin is about to answer, he spots a blue light flashing across the distant horizon. Before he can even identify the object, the blue light streaks directly toward him with terrifying precision. In that split second, Yushin feels a primal sense of danger. Without a moment's hesitation, he crushes a rare life-saving item he had been hoarding, the Dimensional Void Stone. Yoshin's body instantly becomes transparent as the skill activates. He tells himself that in this state, he is safe from all harm. He believes he is now in another dimension where no attack can reach him. However, as is often the case in these matters, reality has other plans. The blue light acts like a needle of truth that sees through all deceptions, piercing straight into Yoshin's supposedly untouchable, ethereal form. An absurd damage number of over 18 million pops up above his head, and in an instant, the guild leader is reduced to nothing but a memory. A streak of white light vanishes from the spot, leaving the remaining guild managers completely stunned. Everything happened far too quickly for them to process. Before they could even react, their guild leader was instantly killed by an attack from afar. It was, of course, the work of Double Mark. Meanwhile, the situation outside the city walls has also shifted. Under the relentless fury of our protagonist's fire cyclones, more and more players are being sent back to the respawn point. When over half of the players have fallen to the swirling flames, the survivors finally lose their nerve. We see the guild members' loyalty begin to crumble. The members start venting their frustration at Yushin and the management, and one by one, they begin to leave the guild. They wonder what on earth the guild is even doing. "I'm done," they shout. "I'm quitting." This mass exodus infuriates Yushin, who has only just finished respawning and is already beside himself with rage. He curses Double Mark, vowing to kill him. However, he has barely been alive for a few seconds and hasn't even finished his sentence when a bolt of lightning descends from the heavens. Under the horrified gazes of the surrounding players, Yushin is instantly killed once again right at the respawn fountain. What was supposed to be a grand encirclement ends in less than 5 minutes, leaving every bystander in a state of absolute shock as the curtain falls. The crowd of onlookers is left speechless. This man, Double Mark, is simply too powerful. We hear them whispering, wondering if anyone else noticed his numbers. His damage output is consistently in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions. One player remarks that Double Mark's damage has always been high, even at level 5. Back then he was already breaking records, and now that he's level 30, he is a true nightmare. Because of this battle, the name Double Mark begins to capture the serious attention of every major power. Having successfully entered Holy Light City, our protagonist heads straight for its largest building, the Holy Light Cathedral. Inside, an elderly man with snow-white hair sits upon the main throne, watching him with a gentle smile. He notes that it seems our hero has defeated the demon suppressed in the beginning lands. He tells him he has done well and that the gods will surely bless him. The high priest's smile is warm as he lightly waves his hand. A strand of golden holy light enters our protagonist's body, filling him with warmth. He has received the blessing of High Priest Olenbo, which increases his maximum health by 300. To be honest, he didn't even blink at the notification. While an ordinary player would be overjoyed by such a blessing, for someone at his level, it is, to put it mildly, hardly worth mentioning. He thanks the priest for the gift. The old man then tells him that if he can bring back the head of the chaotic crow demon, Block, he will reveal the next stage of the quest. A notification chimes as High Priest Olenbo officially issues the new mission. The mission is to retrieve the head of the crow demon, Glock. As he looks at the prompt, a strange expression crosses Double Mark's face. Isn't Glock the very same demon hiding in the undead crypt? Talk about a coincidence. He accepts the trial, and the priest promises him divine glory. After bidding farewell to High Priest Olenbo, our protagonist uses a return scroll to travel back to Eternal Night City. When he meets City Lord Iris again, her expression is noticeably colder than before. However, upon seeing him, she offers a slight nod of recognition. She gets straight to the point, telling Double Mark that she has received word that the Sea Race has finished gathering its forces. They will launch an attack on Eternal Night City in 10 hours. Hearing this, his expression turns serious. What was bound to happen has finally arrived. In his past life, he had only heard rumors of the Sea Race army's assault, but this time, he will experience the battle firsthand. He asks Iris why she called for him. She explains that General Shisha of the Sea Race is leading the invasion. To be honest, she seems quite concerned about the scale of the force. She tells him that with his assistance, she is 100% certain they can end the battle quickly. Facing the threat of the Sea Race, City Lord Iris sends him a formal team request. Without a moment's hesitation, he chooses to accept the invitation immediately. He tells her he is more than happy to fight by her side. She smiles, saying she knew he would agree to help. A notification informs him that his favorability with City Lord Iris has increased by 20 points. Her piece said, she rushes out in a hurry. A system-wide announcement rings out. Eternal Night City will be invaded by the Sea Race in 10 hours, and all registered players may participate in the defense. The sudden announcement leaves the players in the city momentarily stunned. But that confusion, naturally, doesn't last very long. Their shock quickly turns into pure joy. A regional defense quest is essentially a massive point farming event, and they can't believe their luck. As the news spreads, more and more players begin returning to the city to prepare. Time ticks away until a black torrent appears on the distant horizon. As this tide of enemies approaches, we see Iris, dressed in full battle armor and protected by a squad of guards, making her way through the crowd. She heads toward the city walls. Every player who catches a glimpse of her along the way is left completely frozen in their tracks. They whisper that the city lord is far too beautiful, thousands of times more stunning than any other NPC they've encountered. Surrounded by her guards, Iris ascends the city wall. From her high vantage point, she looks down at the bustling crowds and the approaching storm in the west. Looking down at the bustling crowds to the west, she addresses her people, telling them that today's battle will be incredibly dangerous. She declares that the very survival of Eternal Night City is at stake, praying that the light of the gods remains with them all. A notification appears. You have received the blessing of Holy Knight Iris, increasing your health, mana, and attack power by 5%. This mass blessing from Iris immediately sends the players into a frenzy. To be honest, some of them start shouting "Long live the City Lord" on the spot. Others passionately express their adoration for her. Suddenly, a grand, resonant horn sounds from the distant, silent horizon. The surging tide of the sea race finally reveals its true face. Leading the charge is a swarm of fish-headed minions armed with harpoons. These minions are so numerous, they seem to stretch on forever. Before the players can even react, the guards of Eternal Night City take the initiative. A rain of black arrows suddenly rises from the city walls, tracing a perfect parabolic arc through the sky. The moment they land in the Murloc ranks, a massive number of monsters fall silently. It was quite a sight to behold. This display leaves the players feeling emboldened, and they immediately begin launching their own attacks at the monsters below the wall. On the ramparts, the players chat and laugh, cutting down the advancing Murlocs with a simple wave of their hands. 3 hours pass by. The initial wave of Murlocs has been completely slaughtered. Next to join the assault are the Flying Fish Commanders, Diamond rank bosses. These level 55 enemies possess dangerous skills like Flying Fish Flash, Sea Wave, Life Spring, and a deadly Final Strike. They are even equipped with fish scale pauldrons. Seeing the threat, the other players begin hurling their skills at the Flying Fish Commanders. The dense barrage of abilities paints a rainbow across the sky. However, once the smoke clears, the Flying Fish Commanders remain completely unharmed. Without a moment's delay, the lead Flying Fish Commander targets the players on the wall and activates his Flying Fish Flash skill. Moving like a phantom, the commander begins to ruthlessly harvest the players' lives. It was a terrifying display of speed. In the blink of an eye, a dozen players are struck down. Just as despair begins to set in, Double Mark descends like a god from above. The crowd gasps, realizing the great expert has arrived to save them. Looking at the commander's stats, Double Mark knows he cannot afford to be careless. He immediately activates his skill, Grasp of the Divine Deer, catching the enemy in his grip. It is an instant cast ability that freezes the target. The skill creates a spatial compression, suppressing everything in the target area for 8 seconds. At the exact moment Double Mark activates Grasp of the Divine Deer, he also releases a Fire Cyclone. He then rises into the air, drawing his bow and beginning to charge his power. The Fire Cyclone manifests directly where the Flying Fish Commander stands, swirling with intense heat. The flames begin to sear through the commander's health bar. A look of pure shock crosses the Flying Fish Commander's face. He cannot believe a human who hasn't even reached their second job advancement could possibly deal such an exaggerated amount of damage. It's no wonder, he thinks, that the previous cannon fodder failed to break through the defensive line. However, those minor concerns aren't what truly bother the Flying Fish Commander. What he really cares about is the fact that his body simply won't move. He is completely paralyzed. He wonders what has been done to him, but the only answer he receives is the brilliant blue light glowing on Double Mark's bowstring. The commander's expression shifts to one of utter disbelief. He questions how a human who hasn't even hit their second advancement could possibly hope to harm a creature like him, who is on the verge of his third advancement. He scoffs, wondering what kind of damage could actually be done, until the numbers 45, 23, 65, and 7 flash before him. He is left wondering what is happening. The damage is impossibly high. Again, the numbers 45, 23, 65, and 7 appear, leaving the commander in a state of total confusion at the sheer power being unleashed. With such high damage, his health bar vanishes like a piece of crushed ice being snapped in half. In an instant, half of his life force is simply gone. The Flying Fish Commander, who was just moments ago plotting his escape from the control effect, suddenly feels a deep, overwhelming sense of panic in his eyes. Double Mark raises his hand, and a bolt of lightning descends from the heavens. Finally, the commander truly panics, shouting that he is the nephew of the great general. He begs for mercy, but Double Mark's expression remains unchanged. He continues to fire his arrows with cold, rhythmic precision, ignoring the commander's pleas. The Flying Fish Commander dies in a fit of impotent rage, unable to believe his life is ending at the hands of a mere human. After that, the effect of the grasp of the divine deer finally fades. At the same moment, a server-wide announcement rings in the ears of every player. The announcement declares that the player Double Mark is the first to slay a level 55 diamond rank boss, and for this feat, he is awarded a diamond-grade equipment selection chest. The server-wide announcement repeats 3 times, echoing through the world until it finally falls silent. Only then do the other players wake as if from a dream, crying out in shock that Double Mark just managed to solo a level 55 diamond boss. We then shift our gaze to the underwater world, where a dark conspiracy is currently unfolding. A voice declares that Eternal Night City will belong to them. The deal is struck, Eternal Night City for one side, and Double Mark's head for the other, while the crowds are still reeling from the battle. While we see players celebrating the death of a diamond rank boss, the chaos on the shore is quickly noticed by the enemy commander. On the battlefield, the horn sounds a different tone, and immediately, a burly figure leaps into the air from the distant ranks. In just a few moments, he has already arrived directly in front of Double Mark. Only now do we see his true form, a half-man, half-shark creature riding atop a massive ray. This is General Shisha, a legendary rank boss. His level, health, and mana values remain a complete mystery, and aside from his name, every other attribute is hidden behind question marks. Clearly, his level far exceeds that of any human present. The general roars that Double Mark has ruined his great plans, declaring that from this day forward, he will be hunted by the sea race forever. General Shisha issues a formal sea race wanted order. Now, Double Mark's favorability with all sea race factions has plummeted to -100. Within any sea race territory, he will be unable to purchase any of their goods. As General Shisha finishes his decree, a system notification confirms the news. To be honest, Double Mark doesn't seem to care at all, and his blatant disdain only infuriates General Shisha further. The general acknowledges that Double Mark is a descendant, but vows to kill him today to pay the blood debt for his fallen kin. As General Shisha speaks, an energy spear forms in his hand, which he immediately hurls toward our protagonist. Double Mark's expression shifts as he prepares to dodge, but then a cold, calm voice rings in his ear. If you want to kill my people, you must go through me first. We see Iris appear, wielding a massive shield and a golden longsword, looking every bit the heroic warrior. She possesses a valiant spirit tempered by noble grace. While Double Mark was admittedly a bit nervous facing General Shisha alone, having a high-ranking knight standing in front of him changes the situation entirely. It seems Iris's arrival has balanced the overwhelming pressure. With a holy light knight guarding him, it would be nearly impossible for that shark-headed general to land a hit unless they were completely surrounded. Feeling reassured, Double Mark immediately draws his bow and aims directly at General Shisha. Naturally, the general won't just stand there and take it. Sea Race priests begin casting several blessings upon General Shisha. Suddenly, the general is bathed in a menacing red glow. His aura surges, becoming significantly more powerful than it was just moments ago. He radiates a terrifying energy that fills the air. He screams for the human to die, his weapon transforming into something resembling a ferocious, snarling dragon. The tip of the spear flashes with a blinding light as it thrusts directly toward our protagonist. But Iris is ready. She immediately uses a taunt to draw General Shisha's aggression, forcing him to focus his fury entirely on her. Under the influence of the taunt, the general's spear slams into Iris's shield with a deafening boom that echoes across the shore. General Shisha wobbles, nearly falling from his mount, but the shark retreats just in time to absorb most of the recoil. Iris fares much better, merely swaying back slightly before regaining her footing. Meanwhile, Double Mark's sky arrow is fully charged. Before releasing the shot, he activates the deer's grip, instantly suppressing General Shisha's movements and pinning him in place. The general's eyes widen in shock as he struggles to break free, but the sky arrow is already screaming toward him. Shisha's pupils contract as the scent of death rushes at him. Fortunately for him, the internal force binding him suddenly vanishes. He hastily activates his armor's defense, and a bubble-like protective shield expands to envelop his entire body. Only then does the general's expression soften slightly, though seeing the massive damage numbers still makes his face twitch. In all his long years, he has never encountered such an absurdly powerful commander. To be honest, it's quite a shock. Double Mark, however, has no intention of slowing down. He wastes no time with words, raising his hand to act. Another bolt of lightning crashes down as he silently peppers the general with arrows. But just as the rhythm takes hold, a dark figure appears silently behind him. For a split second, time seems to freeze as he senses something is wrong. He spins around to see a shadow wielding a dagger, aiming straight for his heart in a lethal, sudden strike. At the critical moment, a timely buff from Yunayo allows him to twist his body and narrowly avoid the fatal blow. His wing is sliced, grounding him for now. If not for Yunayo, he would have been finished right then and there. Even Iris is shocked by the sudden intrusion. The shadow removes his hood, revealing himself as Elu, an assassin from the Yushin Guild. Originally, Double Mark's plan was to use his flight to maintain a safe distance, but that strategy has just been grounded. The plan was simple: focus all their offensive power on General Shisha while they had the chance. But it seems the Sea Race has reached a secret agreement. This battle won't be as easy as Double Mark hoped. General Shisha raises his long spear high, shouting for his Sea Race compatriots to charge forward. He claims they are the true masters of this land, rallying his forces beneath the city walls of Evernight. The Sea Race warriors react as if injected with adrenaline, completely ignoring their pain even as limbs are lost. They clash with the Evernight soldiers, and with just a few words, Shisha turns the tide of the losing battle. To inspire such potential and erase the sensation of pain with a single sentence, it's truly remarkable. This is the will of war, a rare talent usually reserved for the dragon race. Shisha is no ordinary general. Double Mark ruffles Yunayo's hair, jokingly suggesting that they might actually meet their end here today. Yunayo looks back with firm eyes, telling him that such defeatist talk doesn't suit the great god she knows. She raises her staff, promising an endless supply of healing as she begins to rapidly restore his health bar. His health is full in an instant, and seeing her confidence, Double Mark feels his fighting spirit reignite. Iris watches the tragic battlefield with grim determination, looking at Double Mark's back as he fights. She suddenly drops to one knee, swearing by her life to be his shadow and his shield through any fire. Her loyalty is as eternal as the stars, she declares, standing up as her blade glows with power. Pointing her sword to the sky, she vows in her own name to protect Double Mark at all costs. A massive pillar of golden light erupts from the ground, momentarily silencing the entire chaotic battlefield. A notification rings out. The effects of Iris's blessing have increased by 100%. As the blessings stack, Double Mark becomes the brightest light in the world, with more buffs than he can count. One thing is clear, however, after all those blessings, his attack power has reached a truly terrifying level. 40,000. Is this truly the power of the Guardian Covenant? His attack power has reached a terrifying level of 224,000. While we see him marveling at his own strength, Iris moves to his side, telling him not to daze off while General Shisha is still standing. If Shisha falls, the Sea Race will be leaderless and the crisis averted. Double Mark understands and prepares to strike alongside her. Iris immediately uses her taunt skill on General Shisha, calling out the Sharkhead to face her directly. To be honest, she has quite the nerve. With a roar of "Shut up!" Shisha charges toward Iris, and the two begin a fierce struggle atop the city walls. While Iris holds the front and draws all the fire, Double Mark takes a moment to open the diamond treasure chest he just obtained. As Iris and General Shisha continue their duel on the wall, he relies on her protection to focus on the spoils of his previous victory. A notification chimes, congratulating him on obtaining the Sea God's Net, a diamond-grade item with powerful active and passive skills. The skills include Breath of the Tide and Sea Race Nemesis, along with the Sea God's Gecko passive ability. What he values most about this diamond-grade longbow is its active skill, which can quintuple his attack speed for 5 seconds. Without a word, he begins firing a relentless barrage of arrows at General Shisha. It is a sight to behold, really. General Shisha is certainly no pushover. Seeing that his melee strikes are being parried by Iris, he decides to switch to long-range attacks. However, he clearly underestimates the protection of a Holy Knight, as every projectile aimed at Double Mark is intercepted by Iris. She blocks them with a massive shield of light, telling him to ignore her and focus entirely on his damage output. And so, his arrows never stop flying, with each shot dealing over 1,000,000 damage. Shisha's protective barrier finally reaches its limit. The barrier shatters with a deafening crash, leaving the general in disbelief. Iris sees the opening and shouts for Double Mark to finish it. He seizes the moment, drawing his bow to full tension as he prepares to unleash his powerful, heavenly arrow skill. A pale blue arrow streaks through the air like a falling star, aimed directly at General Shisha's face. A perfectly ordinary Tuesday, in other words. Yet Shisha remains calm, making no move to dodge even as the heavenly arrow is about to find its mark. Suddenly, a blinding golden light erupts from the general, so bright that no one on the wall can keep their eyes open, except for our hero. Using the power of the eye of the cabin, Double Mark sees clearly that the source of the golden light is a dragon scale. It seems this general truly possesses the bloodline of the dragon race. Shisha then calls out to a little mouse, threatening to void their agreement. Suddenly, Double Mark feels a chill down his spine. Almost by instinct, he throws himself backward to avoid an unseen threat. A dark shadow brushes past his throat with a faint whistle of wind, and he quickly rolls away to put his back against the city wall. As the golden light fades, a slender figure slowly emerges from the shadows. It is a cold, calculated presence. This is Ale, an assassin sent by the God Guild. Without a word, Ale flicks his wrist and hurls 3 silver short blades toward our hero. Iris sees Ale moving in for the kill and tries to rush to the rescue, but General Shisha blocks her path. Shisha declares that he is her only opponent. Meanwhile, the silver blades Ale threw aren't aimed directly at Double Mark's body. Instead, they are positioned to seal off his escape to the left, right, and above. Ale then draws a short sword radiating an ominous black aura. The assassin arrives in an instant. When Double Mark sees that specific short sword, his pupils contract in pure shock. He recognizes it as the weapon of the Time Army. This man is the most mysterious second-ranked assassin from his past life. Yun Nayo finally recovers from the blinding golden light and, sensing the danger, immediately casts a protective shield over Double Mark. The short sword strikes the shield, shattering it instantly and sending Double Mark flying back from the force of the explosion. Seeing that he is still alive, Yun Nayo breathes a sigh of relief and begins frantically casting healing spells on him. His health begins to climb rapidly. Cursing the damn healer, Ale stops pursuing the nearly recovered hero and turns toward Yun Nayo instead. Double Mark is struck by a wave of panic. In his past life, that assassin was feared because of that sword made from a demon's skull. Anyone killed by a demonic item like that is forbidden from resurrecting. In this world, that means death is permanent. To save her, he pulls out a one-time use item he obtained from the flame demon, the demon's hell. Looking at the evil aura radiating from the item, he has no time to worry about the terrifying side effects of using it. He quickly bites his finger and lets his blood drip onto the demon's skull, beginning a dark and desperate ritual. In an instant, time itself seems to grind to a complete halt, and everyone in the vicinity freezes in place. A prompt appears, asking him to choose a target to confuse. Once selected, he will have 5 precious seconds to manipulate them. It is a moment to truly enjoy the sensation of absolute control over the battlefield. He immediately warps Ale's perception. In the assassin's twisted reality, General Shisha has become the primary enemy who must be eliminated. When we open our eyes again, Ale has already unleashed a full power strike against General Shisha. Meanwhile, far away in the undead crypt, the Lich Glock senses a strange presence in the air. It is the unmistakable, lingering scent of a demon. General Shisha never expected Ale to turn his blade against him. By pure instinct, the general tries to dodge to the side, but the distance is too short. After the smoke clears, Shisha collapses onto his mount, his health nearly depleted. Double Mark tries to deliver the final blow, but the target cannot be locked. Meanwhile, Ale falls violently from the air, crashing into the ground. His wounds are bone deep and his health is gone, yet he doesn't vanish like other players do. Await resurrection. Instead, he lies there motionless, as if he has truly died. Exhausted, Double Mark has no energy left to ponder these unsettling anomalies. He can only watch as General Shisha makes a desperate, pathetic escape. The Sea Race Army, hearing the retreat horn, begins to pull back. The crisis of Eternal Night City is finally over, and Iris approaches him with a radiant smile. She calls him her hero and thanks him for his sacrifice. We see that Iris's affection for him has increased significantly, now reaching 70. She tells him she is grateful for his protection and her loyalty remains firm. The players still holding the eastern wall watch as the Sea Race Army retreats like a receding tide, a truly glorious sight. The spectators witnessing this battle are stunned. To be honest, Double Mark's damage output is terrifyingly high. It seems no one could withstand it. One viewer notes that his last arrow dealt over 10 million damage, which is, frankly, absurd. The threat of the Sea Race has been neutralized, but just as everyone breathes a sigh of relief, a sudden development occurs. A piece of news hits the player community like a massive boulder dropped into the ocean, sending shockwaves through the crowd. A sudden piece of news hits the player community like a massive boulder dropped into the ocean, sending shockwaves through the crowd. To the west, a massive horde of undead has appeared, marching steadily toward the city walls. This unexpected development immediately sends the players of Eternal Night City into a panic. We hear the confusion in their voices. Wasn't it supposed to be just the Sea Race attacking? Why on earth are there undead here now? They scramble to organize a defense for the western wall, knowing they cannot let the undead enter the city. If they do, the system will likely judge the city defense as a total failure. Compared to the Sea Race, the undead from the mountains are actually much easier to kill. For instance, a priest only needs to cast a light blessing on the attackers to deal double damage. That advantage alone should be enough for the players to handle them. While receiving treatment from Yao Yao, Double Mark learns of the undead army's assault. His mind immediately goes to the Lich Glock. Just then, the ground beneath the battlefield begins to vibrate, and a bottomless fissure rips across the earth. Suddenly, a massive hand made of pure, bleached white bone grips the edge of the crack and heaves upward. A colossal skeleton king crawls out from the depths, and for everyone present, only 2 words remain in their minds: run away. It is a skeletal giant nearly 100 meters tall, and its presence on the battlefield is truly terrifying. While others can't see the dark figure standing on the giant's shoulder, Double Mark recognizes him instantly. It is indeed the Lich Glock, a diamond rank boss at level 55, possessing lethal skills like undead summoning, Dark Curse, Blood Howl, and Death Coil. Upon seeing Glock's actual attributes, Double Mark feels a sense of relief and takes a long breath. Glock's stats are actually quite similar to the Flying Fish Commander's. He just looks a bit more intimidating. At this moment, Glock pays no mind to anyone's surprise. He walks slowly toward the motionless body of Ale. With a casual wave of his skeletal claw, a smooth, clean wound splits open across Ale's neck. A single drop of essence blood is drawn out by an invisible force, curving through the air with eerie precision toward the center of Glock's forehead. L's body visibly withers away before our eyes, until even his skin turns to ash. After absorbing the blood, Glock's withered, pale bones begin to reconstruct with fresh flesh and blood, as if he is being reborn. It seems he has been injected with a certain kind of evil vitality. Yes, there is no mistaking it. It is the scent of a demon. Glock believes that as long as he possesses this demonic power, he will be able to completely annihilate all of these descendants once and for all. When Double Mark tries to check the Lich's attributes again, the system returns an error. It can no longer identify Glock, now a legendary rank boss of an unknown level. It seems the creature has evolved through this rebirth. The reborn Lich scans his surroundings, his gaze locking onto a group of players fleeing toward the city. He targets a yellow-haired warrior, casually raising his right hand and clenching it in the air. The warrior seems to sense something, but before he can even let out a scream, his life force is snuffed out by an irresistible power. It is a terrifying display, killing a warrior from dozens of meters away with a simple gesture. The players try to stay calm, telling their teammates to contact the warrior and have him return after respawning. But the connection fails. The system shows no such person exists, and at that very moment, inside a large gaming center, a capsule begins flashing a frantic red light. The staff quickly open the lid only to find the man inside foaming at the mouth. Glock, meanwhile, has no intention of stopping. He raises both hands. Regardless of class or level, anyone he targets loses all ability to resist in an instant. In the real world, this is already the 8th case brought in. Their symptoms are identical, total brain death. They were all playing Star Source before this happened. One staff member suggests an investigation, but is told to shut up. His superior warns him not to speak recklessly, asking if he even knows who the owner of Star Source is. If he wants to live a long life, he should keep his mouth shut. Elsewhere, an assistant asks a mysterious boss if they should silence the rumors. The boss remains indifferent, noting that everyone will find out eventually. He wants to see if Double Mark is truly the person they've been waiting for. As dozens of players collapse, we see Double Mark looking at his newly repaired wings while he begins to whisper into Poseidon's watch. Behind him, the angel's wings fold inward, wrapping him in a sea blue cocoon before dissolving into shimmering points of light. This is the Poseidon form, a state only unlocked by combining the watch and the angel's will. Unlike the previous moon god form, which focused on physical damage, this form specializes in magic, making it the perfect choice for the skeletons and the Lich below. Without a word, he raises his hand and unleashes a fire whirlwind. In this state, the flames are a ghostly, haunting blue. There is no warmth here. Instead, the spell radiates a bone-chilling cold that turns any skeleton it touches into nothingness. This blue vortex effectively blocks Glock's line of sight, allowing the other players to retreat safely into the walls of Evernight City. As the whirlwind fades, his charged Heaven's Sword strike follows immediately, aimed directly at the Lich's cold heart. But just before it connects, a massive skeletal hand intercedes. The blue flames begin to incinerate the Skeleton King's left arm. The limb is reduced to ash, yet with a sickening series of cracks, the bone regrows and restores itself in an instant. It was as if the attack had never even happened. He realizes that as long as the Skeleton King stands behind Glock, the Lich will remain untouchable. To be honest, this was proving to be a much more difficult obstacle than anticipated. He tells Shadow to find a priest and get a light buff. Since she has the speed, the Skeleton King will be her responsibility. Double Mark is quite firm about this. He tells her that the giant skeleton is officially her problem now. Shadow protests, calling him out for his double standards, but he simply tells her she's the most capable person for the job. He assures her the Skeleton King is no match for her. She jokes that once she's done, she'll make bone soup for everyone. He watches Shadow slip out through the back gate of Evernight City before turning his full attention back to the unfolding carnage. Currently, the players can do little more than drop supplies from the walls. The melee fighters don't dare set foot outside. Without the protection of a light buff, being targeted by Glock is essentially a death sentence, and they all know it. Below the walls, Glock commands his skeletal mages to relentlessly bombard the barrier of Evernight City. If this continues, the city's defense won't last. The priests can't hold out much longer, and only Shadow can stall the Skeleton King. If the barrier holds for 10 more minutes, he is confident he can take down Glock. But the question remains, how will they survive those 10 minutes? It almost feels as if everything is about to come to an end right here. Just as he finds himself at a total loss, pillars of light from teleportation scrolls begin to ignite within Evernight City. These massive beams, over 20 meters wide, pierce through the heavens and the earth, instantly sweeping away the dark clouds and the stench of death for miles around the city. We see a player on the verge of collapse, Nanandeo, staring in awe at the teleportation array. From within the light, a voice filled with a sense of absolute security rings out. The voice asks Double Mark if they've arrived at the right time. To be honest, the timing couldn't have been more dramatic. The speaker is none other than Batian Ebao of the Batian Guild, leading his members as they step boldly out of the shimmering light. Following closely behind are the members of the Qinghuan Guild and their vice leader, Qinghuan Yuyu, who playfully tells Double Mark that he owes her a big favor now. Li Na and Zhao Yu also emerge from the Pillars of Light, leading a massive group of players behind them to reinforce the front lines. They tell their little brother that they've come to support him. As the light finally fades, the High Priest of the Holy Light Cathedral, or Linbo, steps forward accompanied by a vast number of priests. He declares that the Holy Light Cathedral will be the young hero's most solid shield. Immediately, the priests begin casting buffs on every melee fighter and start the urgent repairs on the crumbling city barrier. Double Mark tells the newcomers they can catch up later, but for now, they need to clear out this trash. Yes, he's straight to the point as always. Without looking back, he unleashes another massive fire whirlwind. The arrival of these allies acts like a stabilizing force, instantly securing the collapsing battle line. He sets his sights on Glock once more, determined to take the Lich's head before the 10 minutes are up.